Good morning and welcome to Edgbaston. Another sunny Birmingham day. We've had blameless weather all week at the Commonwealth Games, the first women's cricket competition in the Commonwealth Games, the first T20 competition, and it is medals day, finals day, medals on the line. England and New Zealand will be playing off for bronze to start the day before Australia go head-to-head with India. Later today from 5 p.m, we've just had Jerusalem sung, we've had a moment of solemnity around the ground, and now the team's walking off to prepare. England won the toss and have elected to bat. Danny Wyatt, Sophia Dunkley opening up, Nat Siver, the stand-in captain for Heather Knight, listed at first drop, Amy Jones, Alice Capsey, Maya Bouchier, Catherine Brunt, Sophie Eccleston, Freya Kemp, Izzy Wong and Sarah Glenn, so an unchanged 11 from yesterday. And for New Zealand, Sophie Devine and Susie Bates up top, Amelia Kerr, Maddie Green, Brooke Halliday, Georgia Plimmer, who debuted yesterday and made a good account of herself, Hayley Jensen, Leah Tahuhu, Hannah Rowe, Izzy Gaze and Fran Jonas. My name is Jeff Lemon. I've got Georgia Elvis and Alex Hartley alongside me, a couple of players who know this England team well, played with them before. But something like this context doesn't really have a precedent of being knocked out of a final but then getting to come back to play for something significant. A games medal is meaningful, but this doesn't happen in cricket. You don't have to back up the day after a loss and say, all right, we'll go again.
No, you don't, and yes, they'll be bitterly disappointed with how they lost yesterday. India won by 4 runs, so they play against Australia for that gold medal. They'll have been absolutely devastated, but you have a quick turnaround, you have to pick yourself up. They have a chance of getting a Commonwealth bronze medal. Yes, they'd have wanted silver or gold, but this is the opportunity to win a medal for Team England, and that is what makes this competition so special.
Georgia, you were playing yesterday. Were you following along at the same time? Walk us through the day for you.
Yeah. So soon we had an eye on the scorecards throughout, and then when it got to about 20 balls to go, we got it on the stream, and we were batting at the time, so I could watch a little. Had one eye on both games, and
right.
Yeah, unfortunately, when we kept getting excited, it was like, oh, okay, are we in? Oh, we're not. Oh, it's a run out. Oh, no, we're still in. Oh, fielder's inside the ring. Oh, yeah, it was a tense finish, wasn't it? But just gutted for the girls, really, because I know how excited they were and how much of an opportunity it was. We spoke about how well they've been playing, and then we got to a crunch game like that, and India came out on top.
I think it showed yesterday that England haven't played a competitive game of cricket this summer. We've had the series against South Africa where, bar the test match that was washed out, it's been a whitewash. Yeah. And it came down to those crunch moments, and England weren't competitive enough, and it's disappointing. And England have underperformed going into this Commonwealth Games. If we were going to do the medal tally, we'd have said Australia gold, England silver and India bronze. But there's an opportunity here for England to get bronze, and it'll be Australia or India for the gold.
But I think also if you've looked at the way that teams have played and you had to award medals based on the group stage, you might be saying Australia gold, India silver, England bronze, because they were unconvincing in that win against Sri Lanka. They've had moments. Alice Capsey has had to dig them out of trouble in 2 of their games as a 17-year-old being sent up the order. It hasn't all clicked, whereas the game yesterday, it swung back and forth so many times. You had both teams wrestling for the ascendancy.
Yeah, and I think that's where you see the team that England picked is full of youngsters, isn't it? And whether they were a little bit overawed yesterday by the occasion, they missed out on the experienced players that were coming in through coming in onto bowl when India were going, and I think if England are going to pick a young side, they're going to have to accept that some days it's going to be like that. But I completely agree with Alex in the sense that you could tell that they hadn't been under that pressure for long periods of time this summer, and that was really their downfall.
And going back to the crowd, most of that team haven't played in front of a packed crowd like this before. This is the biggest game, or the biggest stadium, that England women have played on for a very, very long time, and the fact that it was basically sold out, those people in the higher tiers that we've not had before, will have also added to the occasion. I
think we had close to 20,000 in yesterday on the numbers that I've heard. There were very few empty seats, so it really was an extraordinary occasion, and I suspect we're going to get another good crowd in today. Lots of people lining up down the street to get in as we came into the ground not too long ago. So Alex Hartley heading off. She'll be back with us throughout the day on Test Match Special, the Commonwealth Games Finals Day, and the first delivery of it is about to be bowled. Got Danny Wyatt and Sophia Dunkley in the middle, and we've got Fran Jonas with the ball, left arm spinner, good ball first up. right up full at middle stump. It's driven wide of mid-off. Susie Bates across the field, pings it in. And this is tough for New Zealand especially. They lost a game finishing up around 9:15 last night, and they had to be back here at, probably 7 o'clock this morning to do their warm-ups and roll it out again.
Yeah, they'll have had to get over that pretty quickly, regroup last night, and I suppose there's no better way than getting back out there as soon as you can.
Jonas flights the ball, another Yorker pretty much from a left-arm spinner. It's an interesting start to proceedings. It's driven down to long on for a single, so a quiet enough start. England 2 without loss, but this pair, they do like to get after the bowling. Dunkley's had a few issues with spin of late, got out to spin yesterday. Jonas bowling now to Danny Wyatt, who's driving through the covers. That's her spot. It won't go all the way to the boundary, but she should get a couple. They flirt with the idea of a third, but Dunkley is sent back and on striker's end. 4 for none.
Yeah, nice little start from Danny Wyatt. I think teams recognise that she likes pace on the ball and to be aggressive, so teams now are opening up with spin against her. It's a good matchup.
Jonas bowls very full, driven back past the bowler, but Sophie Devine at mid-on gets across the field. This is a long New Zealand tradition. They started that off in the 92 World Cup, using a spinner to open the bowling, and still doing it today. It's nice to see some things circle around in the game. Here's Jonas round the wicket, drops short, cut, but straight to point. Wyatt can't get through. She'll be disappointed. Loves that cut shot, Danny Wyatt. The extra cover drive and the cut. Leah Tahuhu doing the fielding at point, who played exceptionally yesterday against Australia. Full, driven down the ground to long off, who's back. Maddie Green down there. So just working in singles so far. 5 for none after the first over.
Yeah, tidy little start from Fran Jonas there. She's been given that responsibility with the new ball throughout this tournament. So often now we see in T20 cricket a spinner coming on to try and sneak through and over in the power play. Just opening batters are just so used to. You brought up, aren't you, throughout your youth on seam bowlers opening the bowl into you. So I think it's a nice idea, especially to these two who love pace on the ball. And tidy little start from her.
In a way, it's just getting away with one, get a cheap over out of the way, even if you don't force a wicket from an errant shot. So Hayley Jensen to open from the other end. Medium pacer. Can swing the ball a little bit. Strong arms, strong shoulders. Pushes through the crease. She's bowling from the city end. She's got a slip in place. Maddie Green in there. Backward point. Cover, extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket inside the circle. And Wyatt drives straight to extra cover and she's caught. Well, that's her area. And she likes to go up and over the top of extra. Just stuck in between on that shot. Didn't get the elevation, didn't keep it on the carpet. And she's banged it straight to Susie Bates, who took the catch, I expect. She's usually the one lurking around at extra cover.
Yeah, good catch, Susie Bates. Was there to hit, wasn't it? But New Zealand so often employing that extra cover on the ring, and so it's much more difficult to beat through the air. And that's what's been the downfall of Danny Wyatt. Had that extra cover been in a regulation run-saving position, 10 yards inside the circle, then I think that would have flown away to the boundary. But New Zealand recognising that that's Danny Wyatt's area of strength, but also sometimes can be her area of weakness, because she goes after a lot of full wide deliveries, and this time it's gone straight into the hands of Susie. Good catch from Susie Bates, but you'd expect her to take it.
Out for 4, Danny Wyatt. Well, Susie Bates, always the most reliable catcher in the New Zealand team. She took an absolute beauty down on the rope yesterday, running in from long off. Exceptional catch. She's been really good under the high ball. She takes a hard, flat catch there, the kind that got dropped at mid-off yesterday. I think it was Hannah Rowe who put that one down. Susie Bates leading the way as she has for so long. Jensen has had success. She's bowling to Alice Capsey, who's driving to extra along the ground, though. So Capsey being sent up the order again, as has happened throughout the tournament, if an early wicket falls, which it has consistently. Wonder what Tammy Beaumont makes of that, watching on TV.
Yeah, Tammy will be disappointed, won't she? She's gutted that she's not involved, but I think the way that England are being asked to play, there's always that chance of an early wicket.
Jensen bowls on a length, driven, beats Susie Bates with a little spinning bounce from the rough practice wicket and goes past her for 4, and she is fuming, Susie Bates. She's furious with herself. She got down to try to stop that ball and it just hit a rough patch on that practice wicket and skipped away from her.
Oof.
Gives up 4 runs.
Yeah, not one she's going to want to see again. She's been so good in there. It'll just release the pressure on Capsey.
9 for 1. Jensen bowls to Capsey, who drives along the ground to Bates on this occasion. I just wonder if she was worried about her shoulder as well, Susie Bates, because she started falling towards the ball and she's had that shoulder reconstruction about 3 different times. I wonder if she was worried about putting her arm out to break the fall.
Yeah, there's got to be something in that when you've had an injury like that just keeps consistently happening and you're being asked to dive on it in the field. It's got to be in the back of your mind somewhere.
The last time she did it was diving in the field against Australia in a T20 or a 50 over game, I can't remember which, but diving in the outfield trying to stop a ball. Jensen bowls straight, chipped away, almost carries to mid-on. Not quite. They get away with it on this occasion. So England up to 10 for the loss of 1. Capsey's got 5 of them. Dunkley on 1. Now ball just hung in the air for a little while, teasing mid-wicket and mid-on. Landed between them.
Perfect placement.
That is placement. It's precision. Easier for a rich man to pass, a camel to pass through an eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Isn't that how it goes? Hayley Jensen bowls, forward defensive. I was just thinking it was even harder to thread that shot between those two fielders. No run to end the over. 10 for 1.
Yeah, good start there from Hayley Jensen. She's been asked to bowl in the power play and it don't necessarily suits her style of bowling. Just a medium pace with a hint of shape away, but again it sort of feels like New Zealand are trying to sneak another over from her, and she's struggled really in this tournament bowling in the power play. She was expensive yesterday, but there she's come first. Was it first ball she took her wicket, first or second?
Yeah.
And so straight into the game, and she's bowled a nice over from there.
Well, she's a steady operator with the ball. Hayley Jensen has played some franchise league cricket around the world as well. Got that extra bit of experience that helps develop players. And it'll be Hannah Rowe, the tallest player in the New Zealand team, running up and bowling full and straight at middle stump, driven down to mid-on. Hannah Rowe gets that extra height, that extra bounce. Can unsettle players.
It's interesting to me that throughout this tournament, Leah Tahuhu and Sophie Devine, the two experienced quicks for New Zealand, have hardly bowled in the power play.
Rowe runs up and bowls the same ball again, full and straight, and it's squaring up Capsey, getting a little leading edge out towards cover. That is interesting. I wonder if it's an experience ploy saying that, well, we're not going to be around forever, so you guys need to start doing this job.
Yeah, quite possibly. And we've seen how destructive Leah Tahuhu can be through the middle overs, especially in one-day cricket, but also in T20. I thought she bowled brilliantly yesterday, and she really gave her team something to work with.
Rowe bowls. It's flashing outside the off stump. Caught behind. Umpire's finger goes up a little late. Well, Capsey's just flirted at that ball. Back of a length. Had a little dab. And she's got a touch. And for the first time in this tournament, Alice Capsey dismissed for a low score. Has to walk back. She's looked so composed and controlled, but couldn't resist a drive against that one. Feet didn't really move. Her weight was going nowhere. Just stuck between the front foot and the back foot and went at it flat-footed. So 10 for 2 England. Bit of early trouble.
Yeah, and it looked a tired shot, didn't it? And Alice Capsey's played so well throughout this tournament, but didn't seem herself as she came to the crease. She looked like her feet were moving as well as they had been this tournament, and that's been a downfall there. Maybe an extra little bit of bounce from Hannah Rowe, but she is a tall bowler, so it's nothing out of the ordinary. And a good bit of bowling. Capsey has to go.
Well, it does feel early in the morning, especially since all of their other games have started at 11 a.m. So not only do you have to back up after playing the next day, but it's brought forward an hour. And that did look like the shot of a teenager who preferred to stay in bed. Didn't get enough sleep. They need about 16 hours a day at that age. So
yeah, she's not good in the mornings, Alice Capson.
No.
She's always a late rise, always the last one to breakfast.
All right, interesting. Little insights we get here. It completely makes sense. I sympathise. 10 for 2. Hannah Rowe in and bowling to Siva, who's flashing it away off a top edge of the angled bat down to deep third on the bounce. Going hard after the ball. Natalie Siva, who will be feeling the sting from yesterday. It's 11 for 2. At that point in the second last over where she plays the pull shot, clears out a huge 6 over mid-wicket. You thought, hang on, they are going to do this. And then run out coming back for the second run the next ball. 7 balls to go. I'm sure she's replayed that in her head many times in the intervening hours. Rowe up and bowls on a length and defending is Dunkley, just pressing it into the offside.
She's a cool, calm captain. There's not much that phases Nat Siva, but I saw her getting really pumped up yesterday. The bits of the game that I did see in the field, she was showing more emotion than I'm used to seeing from her, but yeah, she'll definitely have taken that on her shoulders, and she'll have to have had to turn herself around pretty quickly as well.
Rowe bowls outside the off stump, absolutely crashed down the ground by Dunkley, just past mid-off. So Sophie Devine on the edge of the circle at mid-off. It only went a couple of metres to her left, but she barely moved. The ball was past her before she started to turn sideways to try to think about moving across. 3 overs gone. 15 for 2. Dunkley on 5, Siva on 1.
Yeah, it was a fantastic shot from Sophia Dunkley. She's just so hard down the ground. And actually, New Zealand have employed this tactic of having the mid-off far straighter to Sophia Dunkley than you would usually see. And if Sophie Devine had been stood in the more regulation position, I think she probably would have stopped that. But they've gone a bit funky with their tactics, and it's obviously a clear plan to Dunkley, because we've seen it in the previous game as well. But yeah, Dunkley finds the gap and raced away.
Well, if Sophie Devine had been standing at a regulation mid-off, she might just have ended up with a broken thumb or something like that. That ball was really travelling. It's a mad sport, cricket, really, to put yourself in the way of that missile. And yet, people do it every day.
People enjoy doing it.
15 for 2. Start of a new over. Twirling in is Fran Jonas. It's just driven back to the bowler, no run. Bowls again, coming down the pitch. It's driven back to her by Siva. Crowd catch on the bounce.
I love a crowd catch.
There have been so many this last 10 days. Just about every ball that's gone to hand. Whoa! Jonas bowls to Siva, who sweeps well. She'll pick up 4. Gets it past the backward square leg. Just hit it squarer. So that's when you know you've timed it well, made good contact when you're hitting square. 19 for 2 England.
Yeah, she picked up the line of that so quickly. Drops down, sweeps it away, makes it into a full toss, and there's no protection out there. Very good from Siva.
Jonas bowls full. Siva down the ground, lifting it over mid-off. 1 bounce for 4. Lovely batting from the captain here, and this is controlled hitting. She's not heaving at the ball. Just chipped that one, really, with mid-off up in the circle. 23 for 2. Suddenly she's on 9.
No, you're absolutely right. It's controlled hitting. It's low-risk boundary finding, isn't it? She knows her area. She's so strong down the ground. And Fran Jonas just gives her the length that she wants, and she doesn't miss out there.
Well, bowling Jonas once in the power play worked. Not so much the second time. She bowls again, and Siva is defending a good ball. Trying to back foot punch it past the non-striker for a run, but can't get much purchase on it. The bowler fields. Just moving her field around. So 5 up in the ring on the offside. Long on and deep mid-wicket, the one's out, and Siva goes in that direction, out towards deep mid-wicket. The long on coming around. In the end, the fielders meet, and they stop the ball. So just the 1 run added for Nat Siva. 4 overs gone, 24 for 2. England looking for a bronze medal, looking to get on the podium at the first women's cricket contest in these Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, it's a good over, I thought, from Siva, because they're in a bit of a tricky situation at 15 for 2 off 3 overs. That, you know, they need to be getting on with it, but they need to do it in a manner that's not going to create too many chances for the New Zealand bowlers. And I thought Siva managed that over excellently, and it's given them a little bit now to just keep going as New Zealand continue with their funky fields. They've got a silly mid-on, really.
Hannah Rowe in and bowls, and Siva's driving off the back foot to extra cover, no run. Yeah, they've this very short, straight mid-on, so not quite next to the non-striker, but a couple of paces further up from the non-striker. Just looking to cut off that little drop into the leg side for one. So Sophie Devine employed this fielding position last night against Australia when they were defending a handful of runs late. Rowe bowls on leg stump, whipped away by Siva. She likes him there. 4 runs through square leg. This gives her that room to swing when it's that fraction outside the leg stump. She sends the ball away, 28 for 2.
And actually, that may have been a ball that she would have hit straight down the ground had that fielder not been there, but because it's in her eye line, she thought, you know what, I'm just going to swing at this one, and controlled hitting flew away to the leg side boundary.
So mid-on, mid-wicket up. There's a deep backward square leg, and that short position, 4 on the leg side. Top edge from Siva over the keeper for 4. Well, that's lucky, but there was a bit of choice in that. Siva saw the short wide ball and thought, okay, I've got a backward point who's pretty square. I've got a deep third, and that leaves a lot of territory behind point. So I'm just going to swing at this one and see where it goes. Well, it went over Izzy Gazer's right shoulder by a couple of metres.
Yeah, the right result, you'd have to say, for that sort of ball.
Deserved to go somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
32 for 2. Rowe will try again. Pitches up outside the off stump, and Siva could have absolutely creamed that, but just hits it hard into the ground to cover to Hoo Fields. I thought that ball was going to go through. Half volley outside the off stump. You can't win them all, I suppose. 32 for 2. Natalie Siva on 18 from 11 balls. Rowe bowls wide of the off stump, and again she doesn't make good contact. Hairs off for a single, has to turn back, and the fact that Leah Tahuhu doesn't pick the ball up cleanly might have saved Nat Siva, because Dunkley wasn't interested in a single. 3 run-outs yesterday.
Yeah, right decision, I think, from Sophia Dunkley. No chance of a run there. That was just a bit of pressure. The ball before, 2 dots in a row, but no chance of a run.
Hannah Rowe tries to finish her over, and it's left alone outside the off stump. Well, it's good test match cricket in this T20 international final. 5 overs gone. England batting first, 32 for 2. Dunkley 5, Siva 18, and Jonathan Agnew about to join Georgia Ellis.
Yeah, I think honours even pretty much at the moment. New Zealand will be pleased with the first 2 wickets, but in the last 2 overs, Siva's got going. Really curious situation where Dunkley's coming in to make the most of the power play. She's only faced 4 balls of it, so I wonder if she'll be keen to get the most of the strike this over and finish off the power play well.
Morning, Georgia. Missed you yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Well, you're obviously too busy batting, racking up all those runs you were scoring. Well done.
Yeah, it was good. We had a good couple of warm-up games for the Birmingham Phoenix down at the Aegeus Bowl, so just getting used to the 100 rules again.
Yes.
We have to start that next week.
Yeah, good. 32 for 2, 5 overs gone. Amelia Kerr's bowling her off wrist spin from the far end, and the first ball dragged into the leg side and take a single out to mid-wicket. And so Dunkley moves to 6. Nat Siva looks like a bit of an angry captain to me. She didn't have a great game yesterday. England didn't have a great game yesterday. I just think she's ticking a bit today. 18 from 13 balls as Kerr bowls first played away off the back foot into that leg side, rolls out to the fielder coming in for the deep, and that's 1 more to England, playing for the bronze medal here, of course. And then at 5 o'clock this afternoon it's Australia-India going for gold. 34 for 2 in the 6th over. England choosing to bat first, And on the back foot goes Dunkley, trying to force him to the offside. And I can't beat that tight infield that's in position there in the covers. 4 in front of square and 1 just behind. 34 for 2, lovely sunny day. Kerr again, parts her hands, comes in and bowls, and that's drilled down the ground by Dunkley. Pick up 1, there's a fielder out in the deep at long on. Certainly showing plenty of intent. She goes to 7. 35 for 2 in the 6th. Kerr pauses, bounces in again and bowls. That's played into that leg side. They've got an eye on 2 here. They should get 2. I think Dunkley has to go to that far end. Off she goes. Head down. Ball on the way. And Dunkley's made it. So 2 more to Siver. Perfectly placed that was. 37 for 2. The ball to go in the 6th over, and therefore the last ball of this power play, and it's lofted over the top. Magnificent stroke from Siver. It's the second time she's done that. Ball just trickles this time into the boundary. It wasn't quite as well struck as the one in the previous over from that end, but again Siver showing a lot of intent here. 25 not out, 41 for 2. It must be a strange game to play this, don't you think?
I think so. I think it's really difficult for the girls to have picked themselves up. The disappointment of yesterday, they were playing so well. Alex said at the start they come up against their toughest test this summer, and for long periods of time just couldn't cope with the pressure that India were putting on them in the game, and had to regroup last night. I'm sure they'll have spent some time together last night and reflected on it, but maybe the best thing for them is to come out as soon as they can and get back out on the pitch together and not have that horrible feeling for too long. They've got something to play for. I think it's probably one of the worst case scenarios they could have hoped for.
Yeah, it's a weird one, just playing for the bronze medal, and of course if you lose you get nothing. All that hard work, but just I'm sure the frustration of what happened yesterday, some of the decisions that were made, the catches that were dropped and so on. Anyway, Sophie Devine's on from our end, bowls, and that's a thick outside edge there as Dunkley looks to drive into the leg side. The ball runs down to 3rd, and they take 1 more run. So 42 for 2 into the 7th over. A good crowd today, not as big as yesterday's, but still it's a good turnout here. Again, people not knowing when they bought their tickets what they were going to get. But yesterday's England crowd was excellent. Full house really. Devine again bowls. Oh, it goes straight through Nat Siver this time, looking to, I don't know, sort of drag the ball into the leg side from outside the off really. It was a full length ball, not too far away from the off stump. 42 for 2. And it's been great fun, good fun watching this competition. Seen some really good cricket. Seen some quite ordinary passages too, but that's what happens in T20, doesn't it? And goes Devine again, bowls outside the off stump, driven away out through extra cover, and they should get 2 here as well. Oh, a bit of a fumble. So they'll definitely get 2. Fielder there running round to her right. It's Tahu who we'll see bowl shortly. She had a good day yesterday actually. Picked up wickets against Australia. And New Zealand also, for them, this is a strange game too, because they had their moments yesterday. 3 clear chances against Australia's top batters and they let them go. Lamming first ball. Goes Devine bowls, and those bowled it. Ugly smear from Siver, and I'm afraid there's only 1 stump left. Trying to hoik that towards the Hollies stand. It's been a bit of an innings like that. It's, I say, look, a bit of an angry innings, if I'm honest, a frustrated innings, put it that way, from the captain, who would have been so disappointed about yesterday. But that's just a swipe and a miss, and it's 44 for 3.
Yeah, it's a really uncharacteristic shot from Siver. Said a strange innings from her. More aggressive.
The way she's walking off, look, and that's not a happy walk, is it?
No, it's not. She'll be still so disappointed and wanting to put things right for her team, but there's still a big job to do here. Like I said, there's still a bronze medal on the line.
Yep.
That's what they have to keep thinking, to try and get rid of that disappointment from yesterday. I almost wonder if, in a weird kind of way, because New Zealand haven't been involved in finals for a number of years, whether this is easier for them to deal with. They're underdogs against Australia, so the chance of them winning was probably against the odds, and whether so that this is actually a bit easier for them to take, and they'd be able to get themselves a bit more up for this game than England.
What we do know is that they are very tenacious,
Yes.
New Zealanders, aren't they? I mean, whatever sport, whatever sex, they are a very, very tenacious sporting nation, and they're going to be out to absolutely clean this up today. 44 for 3. Amy Jones, the new batter, taking guard. And with 4 out then at 2 on the offside, and on the leg as well, long leg and deep square leg. 44 for 3 in the 7th over. Devine again runs in to bowl her medium pace outside the off stump. Nice silky stroke there from Jones, gets her off the mark with a bit of width, allowing her to play that stroke. So who dives over to our left hand side. That's a nice way to get off the mark. That width from Devine, 46 for 3. I think we're going to see the replay of Siva's shot, which I don't think she'll want to watch again. Just the one stump left, other 2 ripped out of the ground. 46 for 3, the last ball of the 7th, and a bit of inside edge. There's Jones, tries to drive. Successful over then from Sophie Devine. And England, well, a bit of rather no man's land at the moment. 46 for 3 from 7. They've certainly lost 1 wicket more than they'd want at this stage. And they're going long at about 6.5 and over. So it's well, a bit of potential for both here, but they've got to be careful they don't fall in a heap. Alex.
Hello.
Missed you yesterday as well. I mean, all the high-profile games.
Well, half job Hartley and Elwes.
Exactly. But you enjoyed your 100.
We did. Well, we left and it all went Pete Tong.
I know. That's also, yeah, that could be what it was all about.
Yeah,
it wasn't great yesterday.
I know me and Elwes don't have any control over what happens out there, but I'm pretty sure it was our fault.
Yeah. You feel disappointed about it? I mean, I know you weren't, but about where England are, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, I listened and I watched the whole thing on my drive over to Trent Bridge, and really disappointing. It came across as just they've messed up the run chase, to be completely honest. They should have won that game.
Yeah. So who is on then? She got lots of wickets against Australia. This first one's a wide though, down the leg side, maybe a bit stiff. And so an extra ball, 47 for 3. And how they do pick themselves up and get over that disappointment.
I think you have to. You're allowed to, be disappointed. I'm guessing they'll have sat in the dressing room, and a few of them will have had a cry. That's what we do best. And then you've got to pick yourself up and go again, because it's a quick turnaround.
So Hoo, medium pace bowls with quite a low arm. That's driven firmly by Dunkley straight to mid-on. And there's no run, but it's at home. It's that expectation, isn't there, the home team? And
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really realistically thought they'd get the gold medal, because Australia do seem to be the favourites for that. But you'd expect, I think, them to be in that playoff. So here they are, scrapping for gold, for bronze rather. 47 for 3 in the 8th over. Dunker's got a quiet start here, 8 from 9 balls. Who bowls for? Oh, of course, she's hit that hard at her. Wow! And she's ringing her right hand. I'm not surprised. She does hit a ferocious ball. That was drilled back at the bone. And she's got an arm being wrapped round her there by Susie Bates. That might help, but...
Oh, she saved 4.
Yes, she did save 4.
Sophia Dunkley hits the ball so hard. She's got this wide grip on the bat, and she often shovels the ball. And when she breaks her wrist, she connects so well and just hits the ball so hard.
Someone somewhere... That's why I don't trust these necessarily all these internet sites and so on. Here she comes, balls a bouncer now, she ducks underneath it. We'll put that down as a chance.
Oh, that's not a chance.
I know, but it was technically hit back at it. Someone somewhere on one of those websites will have that down as a
If she'd have caught
technical
that,
chance.
it'd probably be the catch of the year.
It would have been, but that's why I'm always a bit cautious of these things, because technically that was hit in the air back at her. She's got a hand to it. Someone somewhere will go
Drop catch.
yes, they will, I promise you. 47 for 3 in the 8th. I mean, it was impossible. So Hoo from the city end bowls and thumps into the pad there. The ball dribbles away to backward point. Looking for the umpire's signal. Is that a leg bite? Oh, there we go. Very leisurely, belated signal there. A few delicate taps of the left knee. 48 for 3.
To Hoo just carrying off where she started yesterday. 3 for 20 against Australia yesterday.
Well, she actually went for a few at the end. She had 3 for virtually nothing and drop catches.
think New Zealand will have felt like they should have won yesterday as well.
Here she comes again, then bowls down the leg side, brushes the pad, and gazes there. Do you know what I think what they'll think is that they'll just never know. That's in a way almost worse.
Yeah.
Just think what might have happened, what might have been.
I mean, they've probably played their best game against Australia yesterday, and that's the time to do it. But they also made a lot of mistakes as well. And what could have been? Imagine if we'd have had an India-New Zealand gold match.
Yeah.
That would have been against all odds.
48 for 3. Tahuhu bowls on middle and off. It's played into the leg side by Jones. Or bounces along to mid-on. And there is no run. So the end of the over, 48 for 3. 8 overs gone. That run rate's just slipping down a bit as well now. It's only 6. So there's some work here for England to do. They're going to post a total. It's the same pitch as yesterday, by the way, which is interesting. Whether it's just the way the groundsman's raked it or mown it or something, but there's a sort of a darker half to the far half now. It's very straw-coloured. I mean, very dry. It's like everywhere around about.
It was quite green yesterday, this time yesterday, and then it's been baking in the heat for a day and a half. I mean, I don't know what the weather was like here, but it was warm over at Trent Bridge.
Amelia Kerr. Change of ends for her. Went for 9 off her first over a wrist spin, and that's a little googly that's cut away to backward point. Did see an occasional ball spin yesterday, whether that's going to be more the case today. That one just straightened a little bit. 48 for 3 in the 9th over. England choosing to bat first. Kerr bowls again. Oh, she's bowled. Coming down the pitch, and she probably did have to give here, because 8 from 13 balls is most unlike Dunkley. And now she's got a flattened middle stump. I'll tell you what, if the wrist spinner's knocking stumps out of the ground, it must be pretty dry out there. If the middle stump flattened, yeah, that's a bit of a, well, maybe a predictable end. It's that wrong, and again it spun between bat and pad. And England 48 for 4.
Yeah, you feel like Dunkley's come down the pitch there because she knew that she's, behind the 8 ball. She's 8 off 13 deliveries before she was bowled. So she's trying to force the boundary. She's trying to force getting off strike, trying to be on the counter attack, be proactive. But the ball's just pitched and gripped. It's the googly. It's turned back and stayed ever so slightly low as well, and gone through Sophia Dunkley.
Feels a bit flat.
Feels very flat.
This is danger time here. 48 for 4 in the 9th over. Maya Bouchier's coming out. Amy Jones is on 2 not out, so really 2 new batters at the crease.
Just interested to see how Bouchier will go about this. Yesterday she was very flustered, didn't quite know what her role was, what she had to do.
How would you like to see her play?
Just a natural game. When she plays for the Southern Vipers, she just goes out there and hits boundaries. She's aggressive, but she's also calculated as well. But look at this field. We've got 2 catchers on the offside and the leg side. There's slips coming into play as well. New Zealand know they're on top here.
They certainly do. Real pressure coming on here. Field is on the drive both sides, and a slip. Boucher right-handed, and Kerr goes in, bowls to it. It's outside the off stump. She chops it away for a single. Fielder will come in and retrieve that out at deep point. 49 for 4. I feel the crowd urging England on here.
I think England have to play for the googly as well, because she bowls mostly googlies, and if she does bowl that leg spinner, it's going to turn away so you can knock it into the offside.
Kerr again bowls. That's top edge. Skied into the deep. Fielder can't quite get there. Bit of an escape there, to be honest, for Jones. It was a top edge, uncontrolled. And it was Hannah Rowe coming in from deep backward square leg. Couldn't quite make the distance. She's about a yard short. 50 up for England, but they're rather limping there. 51 for 4 in the 9th.
Tell you what, that wasn't a bad effort in the deep there from Hannah Rowe. I don't think she quite picked it up straight away.
Next one is turned into the leg side. Going to get 2 here. They're certainly going to try and push it. They should do. Oh. Well, again, a little bit of uncertainty there. I think she should have got 2 there. I think it was positive, hard running. 52 for 4. Boucher on 1. Waits, and now that's a thickish inside edge into the leg side. Ball rolls just outside the circle. to end the 9th over with a single. 53 for 4. Jones has 5, Boucher has 2. And there's something the way the New Zealand are running around here. They know they're in a pretty good chance here. But it only takes a couple of overs. So Brunt due to come in next. Hope she's calmed down a bit from yesterday.
By all accounts, her behaviour was quite embarrassing yesterday.
Well, she was certainly fired up. There's not a lot to be gained from having a go at your own teammates, I don't think.
I've been on the receiving end of it, and it's really intimidating. And actually what happens is you end up making more mistakes because you're so frightened of making a mistake and being shouted at that you don't attack the ball in the same way. You end up just being tentative towards the ball.
Timid, and yes, absolutely.
And then you end up making more mistakes, and then she gets angrier and angrier. Well, she was shouting at 17-year-olds.
Yes. Now, this is the start of the 10th over then. First ball bowled by Jonas. It's clipped away down to long on. She's bowling her left arm spin. So this is her 3rd over. 54 for 4. Approaching halfway.
Tahuhu's actually gone off the field.
Oh yeah, so she has.
With that caught and bowled that wasn't an opportunity.
With a drop catch.
She's probably broken her hand.
Right, well done. 54 for 4. Jones again bowls, left arm round the wicket. That's a thick edge. Ball runs away and a backward point. Jones trying to work that away into the leg side. I wonder if that's again that little suggestion of a little bit of slow turn.
I think it's starting to go, isn't it? I've seen the googly from Amelia Kerr go quite a bit.
Yep. It's very dry. 54 for 4. Jones bowls. That's a nicely controlled on drive by Jones. Puts up 1 though. Boundaries not coming at the moment. 55 for 4.
I liked when New Zealand was aggressive to Boucher. I think they could stick with that because they've got enough runs to play with here. They're on top of New Zealand. Get your catches in again. Why not?
Got in on the drive there on the leg side as that's clipped away in that direction, but Boucher is able to pick up 1. People are trotting in from the deep. Or animated applause from the crowd.
Against Boucher, I'd bring a fielder up as well. You know, yes, you can have 4 out. It's a T20. You want to limit the runs, but is she going to go over the top straight away when their team's under this much pressure?
Try and squeeze them a little bit. There's a low full toss. Not a great ball from Jonas. It's only 1 run again though. That's a deep mid wicket.
Plinked into the onside from Amy Jones.
This is 57 for 4. Ball to go, then it's halfway. Boucher's on strike. Bat raised, she goes for the sweep shot. Appeal for leg before wicket. She likes that, and she's been given out. She's been given out. England lose their 5th wicket. They might well review it. The umpire thought about it for a little while, but it's an umpire who takes a little bit of consideration about decisions that she makes. Leg by springs to mind a few moments ago, but the batsmen are talking about this, and with 1 second to go, they've decided they're going to review it. I mean, I think they might as well.
I think they've gone for it because they might as well, but Maya Boucher thinks she's out here. She actually started walking off and then went up to Amy Jones.
Director, we have a player review for LBW. The original decision was out. I've checked the front foot and it is a fair delivery. Can we go to front on vision, please?
It's not her old friend Jacqueline Williams doing the replays. This is Claire Polisak.
Might be a bit quicker.
It might be. 57 for 5. Let's have a look at it then. We're assuming there certainly wasn't an edge because she would have reviewed more quickly. It's hit on the back leg. I'd say probably hitting middle. I think it's hitting middle about halfway up.
Just a bit of turn there for Fran Jonas as well.
Yeah, it is just a little bit, isn't there now?
It's just enough though, that's all you need.
Yeah, well Eccleston will have an eye on that, hopefully. 57 for 5, they were waiting here, I'm afraid. I suspect the guilty verdict, as it were. And I feel a bit sorry for Boucher there because she knows it. She's hanging around and waiting. Is there an edge?
Thank you. Gap between bat and ball on the
edge.
left.
It just spins horribly into the right thigh.
So there's no bat involved.
You know when it's hit you on the back leg as well. You think it's probably out.
She's walking off now.
Satisfied.
I think she's seen enough. She's had enough torture watching this.
When ready, please.
I think she's almost shouting, "Get on with it." Here we go.
The original decision was out.
Pitching middle.
Pitching in line. Impact is in line.
Hitting middle and off, actually, just above halfway up.
Lauren, I'll get you to stick
So there you go. That's not a great position for England to find themselves halfway. 57 for 5. Amy Jones is 7 not out. Boucher walking off. And coming out swinging her arms with lots of intent is Catherine Brunt. And we'll see how she's woken up this morning. More from you, Alex, and then Jeff Lemon's coming in here.
Well, if it's anything to go with how her wife batted quite aggressively, I can only imagine how Catherine Brunt's going to go about this. I was going to say run chase, but setting a total, actually. Hopefully she's calmed down. Yesterday wasn't her best day in an England shirt.
Isn't everything in cricket a run chase in one way or another?
Well,
Philosophically.
I like that you've got my back there.
England might have to be philosophical at the moment. They're in a tricky position, but they're up against a team, remember, that they restricted to 71 runs the last time they played a few days ago. So 57 for 5 at the halfway mark might be plenty, who knows. Jones on 7.
Maybe that's what they're thinking.
Yep.
We'll just bat for 13 overs, get a 70, done.
Yep. Declare. The first T20 innings declared. Got enough, thanks. We're coming in after 14.
Quick game's a good game.
Well,
It's not, because the second match still starts at 5 no matter what.
that's true. Amelia Kerr loops one up and just reaching across the pad. Jones pushes it towards mid-on, but Kerr is across quickly to field, tumbling. So, maybe this is a chance for some of England's lower order who didn't get a chance to swing the bat much yesterday. Sophie Eccleston comes to mind to come out and show that they can do some damage. Kerr flights the ball and Jones tries to drive down the ground, gets an inside edge that goes to square leg. Through for 1, 58 for 5.
Don't want to keep going on about yesterday's game, but I think England will be thinking, what if? What if we'd have sent Eccleston in a little bit earlier? She got 28 off an over against South Africa.
Yep.
Up there with Deandra Dottin for the most runs in an over. You know, she's capable of hitting sixes from the off. I just think, could they have muddled their batting lineup up?
Well, I think that's not just hindsight. I mean, we were saying that at the time before the decisions were made. There's Amelia Kerr. Bowls on middle stump to Brunt. He'll take a run first ball, just knocking it off her pad to mid-wicket. 59 for 5.
Whereas this now is actually a perfect scenario for Brunt. There's 10 overs left. You go out there, you get yourself in, and then you start hitting boundaries. I think that's the right decision.
Well, the kind of situation they were in, you know, needing 24 off the last 2 overs, I think it was. Hit on the pad. Kerr goes up in an appeal, backpedaling, but I think that hit outside the line of Amy Jones off stump. She might have been a bit far down the pitch. Got a step in.
Eloise Sheridan
Bit of bounce.
actually laughing at that appeal there as Amelia Kerr got the ball back.
Well, it did strike her pretty high up above the pads, so should have been going over the top. Kerr bowls much fuller, whipped off the toes into the gap at mid-wicket, but hit firmly enough that they can't get back for the second run. Jensen does some good work out on the rope, 60 for 5. One ball to come in the Amelia Kerr over. She just has another chat to Bates. When Bates and Devine call things off, there'll be a lot resting on Amelia Kerr. Certainly the best player in this team after those two. Good ball right on the spot, and Brunt can only tap a wicket to the leg side. So a quiet over from Kerr, 4 singles, 61 for 5. So yeah, the way it seemed towards the back end of that innings was, if you've got someone in the England lineup who can hit a 6 relatively comfortably and who can do it early in an innings, that's Eccleston. We already know that. Why not send her in when there are 7 balls remaining when Sivers run out? Why not send her in earlier? I thought she should have come in ahead of Maya Bouchier, who's more of a work the ball around sort of player, not an aerial player. There's not much to lose. Send her in, have a swing. If she gets out, you've still got your backup players. If it comes off, you've suddenly put a massive dint in that target. 6 runs at that stage of an innings, where they were needing 15 from the last over.
Couldn't agree more.
A 6 makes all the difference, and it did, but it came from the last ball. So it was too late by then.
Too little, too late.
They needed 10 off the last ball, which, if you're not familiar with cricket, that's pretty hard to come by. It's not impossible.
Is it? Oh, come on. Is it not?
Yeah, with overthrows.
Oh, okay.
You could run 10 as long as it doesn't go to the rope. Say you run a 3, then there's overthrows, get another 3, and then more overthrows, goes to the rope.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
10. It could happen. Forward and defending, little outside edge, runs away to backward point. Sits Fran Jonas with their left arm spin. I'm sure it's happened in club cricket. I'm sure there have been multiple overthrows. I know people who've hadn't all run 7, so we could go up from there.
I know teams that have been bowled out for about 2.
Jonas. Sweep shot. Nice and fine. Rolling away towards fine leg. I'll get a couple more runs. Georgia Plimmer around in the deep to field, 63 for 5. I'm pretty sure I've played in teams who've been bowled out for about 2.
It's a good shot, that, from Catherine Brunt for 2 runs. It's an easy shot that most of this England team, they play.
Jonas bowls to Brunt, who advances and hits down the ground towards long on. She's caught, backpedaling down there. It's usually Maddie Green on the rope. Yep, surely is. She's so good over her head, so good running across, having to make large amounts of ground. That's her spot, long on, long off. She's taken some belters there. That wasn't the hardest, but it was pretty hard. She's right back on the rope, hands above her head, like an AFL full forward, taking the mark. 63 for 6 now. And England sliding away here.
Well, I don't really understand that shot, to be completely honest with you. I can understand if there's 2 or 3 overs left in the game. There's so much time left in this game. And Brunt's backed herself to hit up and over, mid-off, long on, whichever way she was going, but she's hit it straight down long on's throat. And England, they find themselves in a lot of trouble. They lost yesterday in a match that they thought they should have won. And they're playing in this bronze medal match, but the way things are going, they're going to struggle.
Well, maybe they'll win today in a match they think they should lose. I turn the tables. 63 for 6. And here is the thing that everyone was clamouring for yesterday. Sophie Eccleston coming out to bat with time on her side. She's an interesting character. She looks such a diffident player with the bat, just so relaxed and...
Eccleston? She gets so nervous. To the point where she physically shakes for her first few balls out there as well, which is mind-blowing. Jonas
in to bowl. Outside edge from Amy Jones, away to short third, no run.
No matter who she's playing for, whether it's England, Ovenley, her club, she gets nervous for batting. Never for bowling, but for batting. She loves it, she's very good at it, but it's one of those where I suppose you can fail straight away.
It's fascinating how different that can be. It just doesn't look that way. Down comes Jones and drives a single to mid-off. They get through. Eccleston on strike. She can really start to sweat now. 1 ball to come in the over. 64 for 6. Just physically, she looks so... She's so loose-limbed. You know, she looks like some laundry that someone's hung up. She's kind of bobbles around the field. Like swaying, you know. Like one of those jellyfish with the long tendrils. Just sways around, floats around a cricket field. She's waiting for Jonas and driving down to long off along the ground. Nice and simple first ball from Eccleston. England, 12 overs gone in more than a spot of bother, 65 for 6.
Yeah, in a game where they beat New Zealand quite convincingly a few days ago. New Zealand bowled out for 71. England only needed 72 to win.
Well, they're nearly there.
And I stopped writing my notes after 8 overs, so I don't actually know what happens.
Well, they got there pretty quickly is what happened. There was an early wicket. I think New Zealand took 3 wickets from memory.
Yep, I've got that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy with that.
Well, this is interesting. Kerr is going to bowl out here, but she's bowled 3 overs, 1 for 18.
Well, I like Sophie Devine's captaincy. She changes things up. She's intuitive. She's aggressive at times. She's willing to change plans on the fly. Why not use up your key bowler if you've got England on the ropes? Good ball from Kerr, leg break, turning away a little bit. They get through for a single. Eccleston just drops it to the offside, but had to be wary against that ball. Was it going to spin back in? Would it turn away? Would it bounce? Something about that time that you've got to wait while the ball is in the air from Amelia Kerr. She loops it up. Draws mistakes from players. Flight again. driven for a run into the onside. Once more, they'll only take one. England move on from the dreaded 66 for 6 to a slightly safer 67. It's a really metal sport, cricket.
It's the 1-1-1.
6-6-6. Here comes Kerr, swishing off the back foot. That's a less aesthetic shot from Sophie Eccleston. Feet planted in concrete, wafts the bat, misses completely, and he's allowed to continue. Didn't hit the off stump. Kerr spears it in at the leg stump this time, and taking a run is Eccleston out to square leg. And New Zealand don't mind giving away the singles. That's about all that England have been able to get.
Can't remember the last boundary, to be completely honest with you.
The last one I can remember was Nat Siver when she came in, hit a couple. It's been a while. Brunt nearly hit a 6, as if to prove that she should have been the one sent in yesterday, but QED was caught on the rope. Defensive shot from the 5th ball of the over. Amy Jones just on the back foot. So,
come on, Amy, we can hear from someone in the crowd.
Come on, Amy. Flight, full toss as she advances at it, but can only drive it out to deep mid-wicket along the ground. So Jensen fields. Singles from the over, 4 of them, that's it. 69 for 6. Not so nice. 13 overs gone, so England have 42 balls left to try to salvage something.
Good old Hypercoast has been in touch just on the strike of the over as well, so that's well played, Hypercoast. The last time England women lost their 6th wicket at a lower score in a 20 over match was their loss to the West Indies at the 2018 T20 World Cup.
Good to know. If you ever need any numbers, you get on Twitter and you look up Hypercoast. He knows everything. He knows every ball that has ever been bowled in women's cricket, I reckon. And if he doesn't, he's finding it. There are missing stat books and scorecards and things from various competitions over the years, and he's making it his life's work to collate them.
Someone else has been in touch, David, and said it's not quite bowled out for 2, as you were talking about earlier, but here's a club game. Vernon Carris CC, 9 all out. They won the toss and elected to bat. Leyland chased it down in 4 overs.
4 overs? Start of a new one. Hayley Jensen driven down to long on for a single, 70 for 6.
And there were 2 down.
Leyland FC, 13 for 2 in 4.5 overs. They took 30 balls to get 9 runs. I think that's more embarrassing for Leyland than it is for the other lot. Should be finishing that in 2 balls.
He should. None down, definitely. They're probably all paid £10 subs as well for the day.
I would respect a score of, say, 9 for 3 in 1 over. You know, if everyone was having a go. Jensen over the wicket, and Eccleston whips it nicely off her pads down to deep backward square. They get through for 1, 71 for 6. You know, you can lose a couple of wickets in the first over as long as everybody's trying to hit every ball for 6. Fair enough.
Go out there and have some fun.
29 balls to chase 9. See off the new ball, make it easier for the middle order.
I don't think that's the point. A team got bowled out for 9.
Yeah, but that can happen. Jensen to Jones, driving down to long on for a single. Just can't break this stranglehold. This is how it was through the later part of the innings yesterday. After Shafali Verma bowled that 16th over that went for 15 runs, the 3 overs after that, very quiet. They were getting 3-4 runs from the over, kept hitting the outfielders, couldn't find the boundaries, and that's when India started to turn the screws. It's been like that most of the day today. Eccleston, little leading edge just back over the head of Jensen, who dives up goalkeeper style. Not sure if she fingertipped it, but it ends up with mid-off. There's no run. Eccleston survives. It was a good seam delivery, decked in.
Yeah, Eccleston is looking to play it into the onside for 1. A thick outside edge. Just goes over Jensen's fingertips.
I think that just brushed the ring finger on her left hand. I saw that finger wobble back. That's as close as she got. She tries again to Eccleston, who hits it down to long on the bounce. safe on this occasion. That's where she hit her 6 yesterday, over long on, but just a single now, 73 for 6.
Well, on the screen there, I can see Katie Martin
Yep.
and Amy Satterthwaite in the crowd.
Oh.
So they're here watching New Zealand.
Concussion sub.
Satterthwaite playing for Manchester Originals in the 100.
Pop them in.
Baby Grace. They don't need them.
Jensen, outside the off stump, whipped away by Jones. Nice shot. There's the boundary. Jones finds her placement. Long on and deep mid-wicket. She goes right in between them to finish off the 14th over with a little bit of a flourish. 8 runs from the over in the end. 77 for 6. Jones up to 18. Alex Hartley off for a cup of tea. Georgia Elwes coming back in. 77 for 6. 14 overs gone. And so Alex was just saying Amy Satterthwaite's over here for the 100. Is Katie Martin playing as well?
I don't think so. I'd have to double check that with Alex, but I don't think she's been picked up in any of the squads. So maybe just over here as a fan, supporting her old team that she gave so much to.
Yep. She was a great character, Katie Martin. Very funny behind the stumps. Liked to get into the stump microphone when she could. Prolific sweeper and reverse sweeper. Was always getting the reverse paddles out. Played some very enterprising hands for New Zealand with the bat. I think my favourite one was when one of her bowlers just fell on their face while trying to field a return catch, and all you could hear was Katie Martin cackling behind the stumps. There's no sympathy there whatsoever. New over. It's Brooke Halliday having a bowl. She drops short and she's pumped out to deep mid-wicket. First ball for 4. Well, hello Sophie Eccleston finally gets something to swing her arms at. And they have bowled very tightly, New Zealand, but that was a half tracker and it was dismissed.
I don't understand this at all from New Zealand. They've got their foot on England's throat and they bring on a part-time bowler when Divine's got 3 overs left. Tahuhu's got 3 overs left.
Yep. This makes very little sense as far as I can see.
Baffling.
Brooke Halliday hasn't been bowling in the tournament. So she bowls to Eccleston, half tracker again, and bash to cover, but it's straight to Hannah Rowe on this occasion. So Fran Jonas has bowled out, Amelia Kerr has bowled out, fine. Hayley Jensen's got 2 left, Hannah Rowe's got 2 left, Divine's got 3, Tahuhu's got 3, and they've brought on their 7th bowler who hasn't bowled in the tournament. Halliday just rolling out little sort of dibbly dobblers outside the off stump, cracked to cover again, and Eccleston throws her head back in annoyance because she could have put away all 3 of the balls in this over.
She should have put away all 3. All been really poor deliveries, really. She's got lucky that Eccleston's just managed to find the fielder on those 2 occasions.
Halliday trots up and rolls out a ball at leg stump, tapped away for a single. They won't try to come back for a second. 82 for 6. So she's bowling sort of medium pace, generously, off a short run-up. She's basically bowling not as good Sophie Devine. So why wouldn't you bowl Sophie Devine?
There's got to be some sort of niggle there. It's got to be. Sophie Devine under-bowls herself as a captain anyway, but this is just ridiculous.
Halliday outside the off stump, carved away straight to Devine at extra. No run, so she's got away with 3 different deliveries. Okay, so we're just noticing that Leah Tahuhu is still off the field. So it sounds like she's in the hands of the physios, has an injury problem. Worked off the middle stump, out through square leg. Amy Jones will get 1. Well, they haven't taken nearly as many off this over as they should have, England. They've let New Zealand get away with that, really. 15 overs gone, 83 for 6. But with Tahuhu off the field, it looks like she won't be able to bowl for the rest of the innings, you'd assume. So Halliday trying to fill the gap. They've got 5 overs to go. Jensen could bowl a couple of them. Devine could bowl some of them. And now Tahuhu's back out there.
I don't understand why Halliday's bowling. There's got to be. Sophie Devine has bowled 1 over, 1 for 5. Tahuhu's bowled 1 over, none for 1. I just don't understand why you would bring a part-time bowler on in a situation like this when England are 83 for 6. I mean, she's almost got away with it, really, going only for 6, but could have gone so horribly wrong.
Yeah, but it did only go for 6. And, well, Tahuhu's surprising us a bit because she's not only back on, but she's back bowling as well. And here she comes from the far end, and that's heaved away to mid-on, who's on the edge of the circle. Frustration for Jones. 19 she has from 24 balls now, and there's 5 overs to go. England 83 for 6. Get in that position of just not being able to afford to lose wickets, but knowing that there's not enough runs on the board, it's a very awkward place to be. And now fine legs coming up. I think Devine reckons here that the signs are that Jones is going to start opening her shoulders here, so long on, deep mid wicket, deep backward square leg. They're still keeping one out on the offside. Sometimes you see all 4 out on the leg, and then that really tight offside field in the circle, but they're mixing and matching here, although fine leg's now gone back again, and mid-on is up on the edge of the circle, so still that lone fielder out on the offside on the boundary. Tahuhu runs in, bowls down the leg side, it'll be a wide. Nothing that Jones could do about that, so it'll bonus delivery there. 84 for 6. England haven't really got going today at all. Danny Wyatt 4, caught in the covers. Sophia Dunkley 8 from 14 balls. Capsey 5. That Siva, rather angry looking 27. I thought a bit of a frustrated innings actually. Came out and played some big shots, got out slogging. Is driven away only as far as mid-on. There on the edge of the circle. There's no run. Marbusha 4. Catherine Brunt lobbed a catch into the deep. She was out for 4. So the innings just hasn't really fired up. 84 for 6. In the 16th over. A lot of vociferous support here for England. Jones on 19. Tahuhu bowls to her and she drives into the leg side there. A swing of the bat. Only for 1. Boundaries have just been so elusive. Was it 8, I think we counted up a moment ago? What can Eccleston do? She came and hit her second ball for 6 yesterday. Lovely clean strike over long on. She's a very capable hitter. And they've got that long on back there now, which is where she struck that particular 6. 85 for 6. She's on 10. Tahuhu runs in, bowls medium pace. She's on the back foot defending. Tahuhu extends a left hand. Doesn't field the ball. And it's picked up at mid-off. 85 for 6. 2 balls to go in the 16th over. Good crowd, but say not quite as big as those of yesterday, which are really excellent. Eccleston over her bat. Ponytail down her back. Gets another one down the leg side. Who, having had such a good day yesterday with the ball, hasn't quite got a line right today. She does have this very low arm, and so it's not quite Lasith Malingo, but sometimes controlling direction therefore is difficult. So letting the arm drop that low, you don't quite get your release right. Clearly the ball doesn't go very straight. Here she comes again over the wicket, bowls, and there's a swing into the leg side. It comes off the pad, rolls into the offside. Again there's no run, and Eccleston's swinging the bat there. She's pacing around. She looks frustrated now, feeling that she missed out there, thumping her pad with her bat. Projected scores don't look very pretty on the screen, Georgia, to be honest.
Not where England would want to be, for sure.
No. Tahuhu bowls. Oh, it's a big hit. Out towards deep mid-wicket and over deep mid-wicket for 6. Just for a moment there, the fielder looked like she might get underneath it. But that's what the crowd want. She does hit a clean ball. She really does. That was a terrific strike. Out to deep mid-wicket. Maddie Green was just hovering out there for a moment. She might get it, but terrific shot. That's what the first six of the innings.
Yeah, that's what Eccleston can do. Those broad shoulders. You've seen strike a clean ball many a time this summer. England need a lot more of that for the last 4 overs. New Zealand will change the pace up, bringing Jensen back on now. She's good at the death. She bowls lots of slower balls, have the field well set, but England now relying on these two to bat the majority of the next 4 overs and get them up to, if they can get them up to 120, at least it's something to bowl at. And in a bronze medal match, we have seen New Zealand falter under pressure, so they just need something. Give the bowlers something to bowl at.
Oh yeah, they only got 70 odd against England the other day. I mean, they're perfectly capable of being bowled out, aren't they? Just get something there that, say, puts the pressure on. 92 for 6. Eccleston looks at her bat. She's happy with that one. Tall, strongly built. She's leaning on her bat now, waiting. As Jensen runs away from us and bowls on the round about middle and off. It's flicked away down the ground to long on to bring Eccleston back on strike. So the crowd buzzing with excitement. 93 for 6. Should be eyeing up that leg side area again. There's 3 fielders out here, and also a long off. In fact, they're dispatching another just to the edge of the circle there, straight mid-wicket. That's her arc. Jensen comes in, bowls low full toss, going into the offside this time, but no timing in the stroke. Devine can field. Captain buzzing around, sending people here and there. 93 for 6. We're in the 17th over. England having chosen to bat first. 5 o'clock this afternoon. It's the gold medal match between Australia and India. It should be a cracking game. I was supposed to say India very good yesterday. Then goes Jensen over the wicket. She's dancing down the pitch and going to be caught at cover. Was it a crowd catch? It's a commentator catch. It's not often I'm done by those, but I was that time. Let's have a look at it. Low full toss, hit right into the ground to cover. Apologies, everybody. 93 for 6. And Jensen turns and runs in again. Eccleston waits, and now she's driving along the ground to long off. And chops through for a single. Again, just a sign of frustration there. She swished her bat. She wanted more than that from the full toss. Rather a grimace on her face. 94 for 6. 2 balls remain in the 17th. Come on, Amy, someone shouts. As this is outside the off stump. She comes dancing down the pitch, and very quickly they gaze the wicketkeeper. Underarm the ball at the stumps, but missed. 94 for 6 for the ball to go in the 17th over. 2 batters come down for a conversation there, or at least Eccleston goes most of the way down. But tempting that offside because the field is very tight there. 3 fielders on the edge of the circle. 94 for 6. And Jensen bowls outside the off stump. Now she has got it through. And that'll go for 4. Wasn't a great ball really, and under the circumstances with that field full and wide of the off stump, was asking for trouble. It still had to be dispatched, and it was. Jones goes to 25. England 98 for 6 with 3 overs to go. Not quite sure why she bowled that out there. So it's ball just a little bit wide, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Amy Jones probably deceived her the ball before. I mean, it was good bowling from Hayley Jensen the ball before to keep it outside the arc of Amy Jones, but Amy Jones, wise to that, moved across again, and Hayley Jensen went to follow her. But all the experience of Amy, she stayed where she was and then was able to free her arms up, and yet a strange delivery really for the field that she had set, and a loose end to the over.
3 overs to go, and Devine's going to bowl from the city end. She's only bowled 1 so far, so she could bowl a couple. She's bowling to Eccleston. Up she comes now, bowls outside the off stump, a swing and a miss from Eccleston there, trying to heave the ball into the leg side, and collected by the keeper. So it's a dot ball. 98 for 6. Eccleston 17 from 18 balls. She has at least hit the only 6 of the innings. I just feel that England are behind, but if they can get up 120, 125, just try and give New Zealand something to focus their minds on. A couple of early wickets, get those 2 top players out, Devine Bates Devine on her way again now. Bowls outside the off stump, a slower ball, which is just pushed away into the offside. And again, she's quite expressive, Eccleston, with the bat, isn't she? She certainly displays her disappointment. Looking there to the skies and swishing a bat.
It's one of those that thinks that she should be hitting every ball for 4
Yes,
or
I think
6.
she does. She's standing right in front of her stumps too, almost on off stump as Devine comes in, bowls to her, and again it's played back, but actually goes through the bowler's hands there. So she picks up a single. New Zealand won't mind that. Keep things in control. 99 for 6, halfway through the 18th. That run rate 5.6. Devine walks slowly back. Where is that? Sophie Bates coming up from mid-off for a conversation. It is just a thought, I think, from the deep. There's Devine again, running in, bowling, and she gets to tangle here, trying a little ramp shot, or at least that's how it began. It was well bowled by Devine, right up very full and straight. They get a single, brings up the 100, rapturously received by the crowd. 100 for 6 in the 18th over. Sometimes these low-scoring games are the most exciting. You know? So New Zealand do lose a couple of wickets, it's particularly those two at the top. As Devine comes in, bowls. Oh, she's bowled up. Off stump out of the ground. Eccleston going for that big hit again, tucking a bat under her arms, flicking off her gloves again, looking skywards there in anguish as she walks off. It's 100 for 7 now. For a ball to go in the 18th over. Nicely bowled by New Zealand's captain. Now Freya Kemp, tall figure, little youngster at 17, touching gloves with Amy Jones, who's set on 26. Do you have a little score in mind that you're just going to get to? I mean, we're going to get 120.
I think they've got to. I think there's 2 overs left. They've got to look to score off every ball, that's for sure. They need to run well. Freya Kemp, she's not a number 9. She's a fantastic player with the bat, and she strikes a clean ball as well. But she's young, isn't she? And
yep.
She hasn't batted too much in T20 cricket, so for her it's just about how she manages the situation. I hope Amy Jones is talking to her down the other end and just saying to her, come on, just get back on ball, hit it hard into the outfield, and they'll look to get back for 2s. And then if the ball is in her area, don't be afraid to put it away. I don't think she will. She's not a youngster who's phased by too much, and she loves batting. I had a net with her a few weeks ago, and she was middling absolutely everything, even the forward defences, and I just thought, gosh, she is a fantastic prospect.
Well, what they do, they're dropping a third down, deep point, deep square leg. Devine runs in, bowls, goes straight through, almost bowls her first ball. A big build-up you gave her there, Georgia.
Well, that's typical, isn't it?
Big swing and a miss, almost took the off stump. But she's okay, she's survived. It's 100 for 7 with 2 overs to go. And it feels like a case of let's just make sure that we get 115, 120, whatever it may be. We just need to get that number. Now, the last time I saw a chair being thrashed like that by a departing batsman was Mike Atherton at Johannesburg many years ago. He demolished a very innocent chair that was sitting there quite quietly. I think we were in Port Elizabeth.
Oh dear.
Another innocent chair has just gone for a tumble there, courtesy of Sophie Eccleston. Right, over number 19 starts, and the first ball's hammered hard into the offside, and almost a run out there. The throw came whistling in. Kemp had set off. It was sent back by Jones, who was on the back foot. Her weight was back. I don't think she'd have made it. 100 for 7, no run taken, 11 balls to go. Jensen bowling her medium pace, but lots of variations. 100 for 7. Jones on strike on 26, steps across as she's bowled. Lost her middle stump. I'm just not sure that's the right thing to have done. It's frustrating, I know. Where are you going? But I think just concentrate on getting a score. It is a you know, it's a medal match, as it were. So there is going to be some pressure on chasing. But she's she's exposed all her stumps there and missed the ball.
Yeah, I thought the ball before she stepped away to the leg side and tried to hit it through that offside field, who were all up in the ring, and she just missed out. But I think that was the right option, because I think Hayley Jensen has to bowl tight into the stumps, and so she's always going to pick up a run, even if Hayley Jensen followed her to the leg side. That time she tried the opposite, went over to the offside and exposed the stumps, and Hayley Jensen bowled a good low Yorker, wasn't it? And really did for her. But I agree with you, and we need to get bat on ball here. And now, for the last 10 balls of this innings, we've got 2 youngsters in who are very inexperienced at the bottom end of the order, and in a huge match here, it's been left to them to get England up to a decent total now.
Izzy Wong then, number 10. She'll have to do something special with the ball, but first, what can she get here with the bat? That run rate is below 5.5. 100 for 8 in the 19th. And Jensen runs into bowl to Wong, who's right-handed, a low full toss driven into the onside, but straight to the one solitary fielder inside the circle at mid-wicket. And so there's no run. 100 for 8. The winner here gets the bronze medal, the loser gets nothing. Jensen again. Over the wicket, bowls. Oh, she's bowled her. Off stump. Very full. It's a lovely Yorker, actually, to be fair. Good enough for a number 10, who's just turned back there to survey the wreckage. Off stump, again out of the ground. We've seen some stumps flying today, haven't we? Whether they've watered the base or something, I don't know. But I think every time someone's been bowled today, even by a spinner, the stumps have come out of the ground. That's a good Yorker.
Yeah, Izzy Wong would have been pleased with that herself, wouldn't she?
Yep.
She'd have bowled that. There's just a hint of tail in towards the right-hander as well, and it took the last second, and too good for Izzy Wong there. So all of a sudden now, 8 balls left, and England only the 1 wicket in hand.
Yeah.
They're really going to have to be sensible in how they play these last 8 deliveries to get. They're going to have to look at 110 now. 120's gone for me.
Yep.
And
just get them. Just get those runs. Singles here and there, but see, the New Zealand now are bringing fielders in, squeezing the number 11, Sarah Glenn, who's taking guard. And they've got 4 in the offside there. There's a tight fielder at mid-wicket as well. As Jensen to try and wrap things up, runs in over the wicket, bowls a low full toss. Actually, she's got that away for 4. The full toss round about thigh high. A bit of a gift. Going for the Yorker, presumably it's got it wrong, but slower ball. That very close to being a no ball as well, actually, looking at that replay. Very close to hip high, and someone's shouting out there that should be a no ball. I think they're probably right. Short fine leg now, 104 for 9. That's almost cleaned her up. The keeper couldn't take it, and there'll be a bonus by. Just shaving the off stump again with a Yorker that's tailing in, and England are 105 for 9 with 1 over left. And the last pair have a conversation mid-pitch. They've got 6 balls to go. Well, a single off each gets them up to 110, which feels inadequate, but yet in a game like this, you never quite know. And Devine's going to bowl the last over then, with Glenn on strike. 105 for 9. Here she comes, right arm pumping, moves in and bowls. Again, very full, steered away down to short. Third of the throw, misses the stumps. I think she was actually in her ground just there anyway. So that's 1. 106 for 9. 5 balls to go. Lots of encouragement being shouted from the crowd. As Kemp, who's left-handed, looks around. What have they got for her? Long on. Deep mid-wicket, looks like a deep square leg's being posted. And and a long off. So 3 on the leg side boundary, 1 on the off. Devine has taken 2 for 8 so far. Comes in and bowls full. It's driven, but it's not out of the middle of the bat this time. That's as far as cover. 106 for 9. 4 balls to go. Kemp not yet off the mark. Paces around, all in red. Devine's going to change the angle of attack. 2 come round the wicket just to change things. She comes again, bowls. That's skied. Down to long on. Fielder rushing in. Can't quite get there again. It was very high and plugged rather as it landed. And Sophie Bates coming in from the deep. Couldn't quite make the ground. And he's going to get another one. 107 for 9. 3 balls remain in their innings. Glenn on strike now on 6. There's Devine again. Bowls very full. Going for the run. Oh, well, Izzy Gaze there had all the time in the world, so it seemed, to just throw the stumps down. Kemp had given up. She could have run her out, but it's never easy when you've got your wicket-keeping gloves on. And so she missed. 108 for 9. She comes round the wicket, then bowls. A bit of a swing and a miss. And through they come for a bye again. And this time she hits the stumps. But Glenn's safely home.
Good awareness from Glenn there. Just a little fumble from the keeper, and England just trying to get as many runs as they can. Yeah, she was safely back.
Right, here's the last ball. Can Glenn find something dramatic? The crowd want it, England need it. 109 for 9. Doesn't feel like enough. And Devine, New Zealand's captain here, just prolonging the agony slightly. Just bringing Hannah Rowe down to short fine leg. Here's the last ball then. Devine comes in, bowls, and it's driven out into the leg side. It's only going to be 1 though. The throw's on the way already. And well, they almost thought about running a second because they might as well, but well, they got to 110. 110 for 9, setting New Zealand 111 to win the bronze medal. So it doesn't feel like enough, but you don't know. And can England lift themselves? It felt like a bit of a flagging end of a tournament. Sort of long day yesterday, disappointment and all of that performance there. But I can see Catherine Brunt heading out to go and get herself loosened up. A good burst from her. Susie Bates, Sophie Devine, the 2 at the top of the order. If she can knock those over, then who knows? And that's really the way that England have to go about this. Groundsman's coming out with his wheelbarrow. And just a light roller going over the pitch. So a quick run through the card before we have a little chat during the interval here. England chose to bat first. And they never really got going. They were 48 for 4. 63 for 6 when Catherine Brunt was caught in the deep. Danny Wyatt out for 4, Sophia Dunkley 8, Capsey 5. Matsua made 27 from 19 balls. Mabouchier 4, Catherine Brunt 4 from those 5 balls. Amy Jones 26 from 32. Sophie Eccleston hit that 6. She got that good Yorker, 18 from 21. Izzy Wong also bowled for a duck. So Kemp was 1 not out. Sarah Glenn was 8 not out, 110 for 9. Bowling wise, Fran Jonas with a left arm spin, 2 for 22. Hayley Jensen 3 for 24, bowled well there. Hannah Rowe 1 for 13. Amelia Kerr 1 for 22. Sophie Devine 2 for 11. Tahuhu, after all those wickets yesterday, was wicketless today, but she got that nasty stinger on the hand. And Brooke Halliday bowled that one over for 6. So there's about 10 minutes between innings here, with New Zealand needing 111 to win. Alex and George are both with me. Well, they're out there, they're busy, Alex. They look as if they want to mean business, shake themselves up, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough ask, isn't it? But I guess they'll take confidence in the fact that they restricted New Zealand to only 71 the last time these two met in this game. So, you know, they've got a score on the board, they've got scoreboard pressure. This is for a bronze medal. England, used to being in semi-finals and finals, whereas New Zealand probably not. So they've got that added experience, but New Zealand will take great confidence going into the second innings that they've restricted England to 110.
The problem is if they get a good start and you don't get those couple of early wickets that we're talking about, because then as from England what you're doing is searching for wickets, you're trying to get people out, and it becomes very problematic then.
Yeah, New Zealand's top, they're heavily reliant on their top three. Bates and Devine at the top of the order, Amelia Kerr coming in at number 3, and then there's not much else. We saw a bit of Plymouth yesterday, who looked alright as well with the bat, so she might come in at 3 depending on when they lose a wicket, if they lose Devine or Bates early, but they are heavily reliant on those two. Catherine Brunt dismissed Devine early in the last game and got them on top. End of the power play, New Zealand were 21 for 3. So
she bowled well in that opening spell, wasn't it?
Yeah, she bowled really well. So I guess they're going to need something special from Catherine Brunt again today.
Yeah, it's hard to describe, but these games, which it's almost like a knockout. This isn't it? And I was saying the other day about the men's one-day cricket. Actually, there isn't enough knockout stuff. There's series of 3 or 5 games and I know that you'd never think as a player, oh well, if I lose today I can play one in a couple of days' time and perhaps we win that, but actually these knockout games are therefore quite unusual for a lot of cricketers that actually play much of this sort of stuff, and so it does add that tension.
There's a different kind of pressure. There's a bronze medal on the line, and these teams are playing for something bigger than just New Zealand cricket or England cricket. They're playing for Team England and New Zealand at the Commonwealth Games, and they've got to remember there's a bronze medal on the line, and that does play on your mind when you're waiting to bat. It's a different kind of pressure. There's something to lose at the end of this game, and exactly what you're saying. It's when there is that something on the line, there is that extra pressure. We talk about how England are used to playing in finals and semi-finals, and New Zealand not so much. Will that allow England to come out on top in those big pressure moments, or does that allow New Zealand to play with that freedom and just go after this low total? We've seen low totals notoriously difficult to chase as well, so I am really interested in the first 6 overs of this game. That is going to be, I think, where it's won or lost for both teams.
Well, I'd agree. My next question was going to be, therefore, who's going to bowl that second over, because I thought they got it wrong yesterday, I must say, with Capsey bowling it.
We've seen that there's turn in the pitch. We've got the world's number 1 bowler in Sophie Eccleston, the left arm spinner. She has to bowl early for me. She has to be able to create pressure. If she has a quiet over, that's a win for England. If she takes a wicket, that's a bonus. So for me, she has to bowl in the power play. She has to bowl early on.
Yeah, I completely agree. We've seen the New Zealand batters. We talk about how important Devine and Bates are. They like pace on the ball, and Sophie Eccleston will be so up for this fight. She loves it when the batters come hard at her, and she can really back Catherine Brunt up at the other end. Catherine Brunt is on one. She looks up for it today. She looks pumped. We've seen her charging around out there in the warm-ups, and if she can run in and bowl how she did in the previous game against New Zealand, get that backed up by Sophie Eccleston at the other end, New Zealand will feel hugely under pressure in that power play, and I think that's the key moment in this game is those first 6 overs.
Yeah. So therefore, are you inclined to give Brunt actually quite a long spell of 4 overs? You've only got 4, but I mean, are you more inclined to give her at least 3 maybe in that as it starts up, because there's so much at stake in those early overs?
You've just got to see how she goes. If she bowls like she did yesterday and gets as angry and fired up as yesterday, she's prone to bowling bad deliveries. If she keeps a calm, level head and she settles into a spell, then yes, I don't see why you wouldn't, because you have to take wickets in this game to win. It's a bronze medal at stake. I think you've got to bowl your best bowlers if they're on song, and then you give yourself the best opportunity if they can get New Zealand 2 or 3 down in the power play, and then you can bring on your youngsters and see what happens.
Yeah. How do you treat Catherine Brunt? I mean, you mentioned the fact that she and the captain are married. They must know each other pretty well. She lost the plot yesterday. I mean, there's part of you that wants to give a fast bowler, and they need that aggression and hostility. It's hard work, and you want them to be a sort of controlled anger.
There's a line though, and she crossed it yesterday.
Yes, I think she did cross. Well, she definitely crossed it yesterday.
And there's no consequence for it. There's never any consequence. The staff won't have said anything. They might say something post game, say, come on, settle down a little bit. But there's never any consequence. She was in with the umpires and only got a 1 demerit point, and that's really nothing. I think for me, it's the most disappointing thing, because she can be intimidating when you're out in the field and you make a mistake. And actually, what you want out there is a sense of togetherness.
Yeah.
And yesterday there wasn't that.
Well, they're walking off together now. And yesterday actually Nat was at mid on and mid off and seemed to be talking, but even that didn't seem to have she just got a bit. Well, a bit over angry yesterday. It's that control, isn't it? It's that control.
Yeah, and she's a fiery character, and we know that.
Which you want on the one hand.
Absolutely, you do, but there is a line, and there's a tipping point as well, isn't there? And you don't want your fielders to then be afraid of making mistakes, which is, I think, at some stages what you can get with her, and you sort of treading on eggshells around her if you're scared in the field of misfielding or whatever. But so often what she does outweighs that, and I think yesterday I didn't see any of it, but from what I've seen, you said that she was angry and she was emotional, and you can see that from her, can't you? That's her personality. But so often she brings out the best in this England team. She is the heartbeat of it, and she is the energy. So hopefully she's managed those emotions today, and we see her at her best today, and firing and getting the team to go with her rather than being afraid of her.
We'll find out soon enough, because the umpires are on their way, striding out into the middle. Very short little intervals these are, and England there, I can see, are having a huddle. It's not one of those huddles where you've got your arms straight round each other and there's sort of stirring words being said, but they're standing there having a conversation in a group. Perhaps they'll have their huddle in a second. Perhaps they haven't all entirely gathered yet. I can see Danny Wyatt actually striding into that group now. But the umpires are in the middle. It is a small target that New Zealand have to take the bronze medal here today. They only need 111. The umpires looking over their shoulders, waiting, I think, for the fielders to appear. Just a reminder again, at 5 o'clock this afternoon from here, we'll have that final match, which is Australia against India, who played so well against England yesterday. We got a terrific start with the batting. It was a really good game of cricket. So we'll have that for you at 5 o'clock. But we're just about ready to go down here now. Just a last thought, Alex, before I go. I mean, if this doesn't go right for England, and they don't with this, how much of a big disappointment would that be? I think I know the answer to that. But do you think, things like losing their captain, stuff, are those things that you need to throw into the mix?
Yeah, definitely. Heather Knight's a brilliant England captain England for such a long time, and the loss of her, and Nat Siver has stepped in before, but potentially Heather Knight might have done things ever so slightly different to what Nat Siver has done things. So losing your captain is a huge blow. I guess you look at the tournament, do they lose today? It is a huge disappointment. They are the second best team in the world, and they should be competing for that gold medal. But they've got a young side. We've got 17-year-olds in this side. It's a new England. We've got new players back in the 11 that we've not seen for a while. We've got debutantes. So I guess we have to look at it from that point of view as well.
Right, the New Zealand batters are on their way. It's an experienced pair. Susie Bates, Sophie Devine coming out, and if they get a good start, you think they might make fairly short work of this target. But Catherine Brunt has the ball in her hand. She's bowling from her favoured end down there at the City end, and let's see if she can make a couple of early breakthroughs here and really make a game of this. Alex, I'm going to leave you for some thoughts, and then Jeff's going to get us underway.
Well, it all mainly lies on Devine and Bates here at Edgbaston for this bronze medal. Sophie Devine, Susie Bates, 32 and 34 years old. They've got so much experience behind them. They've been in situations like this before. They've faced Catherine Brunt hundreds and hundreds of times. But you feel you're going to get a sense of how this game goes within the first 6 balls.
Yep. When those two made low scores against England, the rest followed. They made a decent score against Australia last night, and that rested on a Sophie Devine half-century. Actually her first one against Australia in this format, which was surprising. Catherine Brunt, away from the City end, bowling to Devine, the two warriors for their countries, these two, and just running it off the face to backward point to Danny Wyatt. First ball, there's no run. So smallish target, all the usual caveats about the way that can affect the way that certain players go about things. Bates and Devine will know that if they can bat for a decent amount of time, as Brunt bowls to Devine, who swishes down the leg side and gets runs. Not sure if it was off the bat or the pad. Running around to fine leg Sarah Glenn Fields. They'll come back for 2.
You went to throw that nearly into Izzy Wong's face.
Leg bias, says the umpire. Izzy Wong was coming around from deep third. And yes, Just about copped one.
The classic when your two fielders are going for it, one ducks out the way. Don't throw it at me.
Well, Sarah Glenn, powerful arm at times. Brunt running in, bowling straight at the stumps, and Devine playing down to mid-on. Yeah, so I think when they were looking at this match ahead of them, New Zealand would think, well, this pair would think, if we get out cheaply, we can still lose this game. If we don't, we can't.
Yeah.
But they're a team that is capable of not making 111.
Yeah, and they were in the last game that these two met. In the group stages, you know, we bigged up that Thursday game saying it's going to be the one, and actually it was very disappointing.
Catherine Brunt up to Devine, who is tucked up and defending back to the bowler. So I'm happy just to have a look at Brunt, see her off if necessary. Bit different to the way India went about things. Smriti Mandana got after her in the first over. 9 runs off it from memory.
Yeah, and that's where things started to go from bad to worse. Catherine Brunt.
Yep, the steam started building, leaking out of her ears. Steaming in now to Devine, bouncer, and she goes underneath it, Sophie Devine. Not feeling the need to lay into anything as yet.
I'd have liked for her to take that on, actually. There's no square leg or deep square leg.
Power play, everyone's up. Fine leg, the only possible catcher, really. Even a little periscope shot, just get the bat up above the head and deflect it somewhere. Brunt bowls fuller, and Devine whips it off her pads. 2 fine leg, goes through for a run. So that's the first one off the bat. 3 runs from the first over for New Zealand. They need 111 to win, so a modest target, just under a run a ball, but a tidy first over from Catherine Brunt. And we will see Sophie Eccleston bowl in the power play, I suggest, as you discussed with Jonathan earlier.
Yeah, I think this is a huge opportunity for England to get themselves in this game. They know how important it is to break this partnership. Devine and Bates. Bates yet to face a delivery. Devine's just robbed the strike with that last ball off Catherine Brunt. But Sophie Eccleston, the best bowler in the world. Any form of cricket, white ball, red ball, pink ball. You know, she's just phenomenal.
Topped the rankings for a long time now, considering she's so young.
23 years old.
And she's been number 1 ranked bowler for, I reckon, about 2 years.
Yeah, I think she's played international cricket for 6 years already.
In that Amelia Kerr sort of bracket. Debuted for England, for New Zealand at 16. And is now a veteran in her early 20s. Eccleston, lovely flight, dips the ball, lands it in the block hole. Devine drives a single down to long on. 4 without loss. Susie Bates on strike, made a golden duck last night. Megan Shute, Castleton, big in-swinger. I'm not sure how you could be surprised by a Megan Shute in-swinger. There's only one thing she's going to bowl to.
Not when you've played for the same WBBL team for a number of years as well.
Yep.
Maybe a brain fade from Susie Bates.
She did just seem to freeze. It was as though, like when you're watching VHS and a few frames were missing, you know, tick, 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 tick. Suddenly the stumps were everywhere. She stretches forward, Susie Bates, and she's not out first ball this time. Just plays it to backward point, no run.
Can't be a good feeling as a batter when you're on a pair.
Oh. It's an interesting concept, being on a pair in a T20 series. Down the wicket, Bates lofts it over the leg side. That's a positive shot. She picks up 4 through wide long on. Very simply done. The skip and the lift, a bit like the way Nat Siver hit the ball when she was batting. So 8 without loss, New Zealand.
Lovely shot from Susie Bates. She knows she just needs to chip it over that infield for it to race away. So she's taken the risk. She's moved outside the off stump and flicked it into the leg side, giving herself room to cover for the spin in case the ball spins as well.
Eccleston, from her position behind the umpire, comes around the wicket, drops short, glided away. Gorgeous shot. Susie Bates leaning back, opening the face. A late dab for 4. A couple of boundaries in a row. Suddenly New Zealand with a dozen on the board.
Yeah, lovely shot that from Susie Bates as well. Outside the off stump, just watches the ball onto the face of the bat and guides it past where a short third would be Can't be bowling there without a short third, Sophie Eccleston.
Well, that shot was just a caress. It was so gentle. Bowls Eccleston down the leg side, and it's running away to fine leg for 4. Something's 4 wides, says the umpire. I thought it might have brushed the pad. No dice, says Eloise Sheridan. 5 wides from Sophie Eccleston, and this is not the over that England wanted from their premier bowler.
No, it's not. It's not the start. We talked about bigging her up. Can she put the pressure on New Zealand? Well, New Zealand are on the counter-attack. They've thrown the first punch here.
The over's gone for 14 already. 2 balls to come. She drops a little short. Another run here out to cover. They dash through. Devine makes it to the non-striker's end. 18 without loss. One of those frustrating sort of runs. They basically hit that straight to Dunkley, but took off. And then driven past Eccleston for the last ball of the over. Another single as Devine trots down. 2 overs gone. 19 for none. Devine 3, Bates 3. 16 runs off the Eccleston over. Well, the Sophie Devine out in the middle. Now, you interviewed her a few days ago on the No Balls podcast.
Yes, which
Alex
you can
Hartley.
find on BBC Sounds if you want to catch up.
And there was a certain discussion about the England kit. Not so much. I've been enjoying it, the red with the white stripes, the white pad straps. I think that looks good when they're out there batting. There's a pocket sewn into the into the jackets,
into the Team England jackets.
Okay.
Everyone across the board, not just
the cricket team. Okay.
Every single England presentation jacket has a pocket in it.
Okay.
And it's a medal pocket.
Right.
And Sophie Devine was like, well, that's cocky, isn't it? We don't have a medal pocket because your medal goes around your head. And these two here, England might not need that medal pocket.
Wow, Catherine Brunt bowling back of a length and Devine coming across the ball, knocking it to mid-wicket. And I just can't stop thinking about how much Sophie Devine, after I heard her comment on the show, how much she would enjoy making sure that that pocket stays empty for the team that she was sledging for it.
I'm pretty sure if they win the bronze medal, she will quote that over and over again.
Yep.
We've got a medal pocket.
She might ask for one of the jackets. Catherine Brunt bowls to Devine, who's driving down to mid-on, dashing through for a single. Fast between the wickets. Sophie D, 20 for none.
Yeah, she might send Kate Cross a text. Hey, Crossy, you've not played all tournament. Can I have that medal pocket?
You've been watching on and you've got nothing to put in your pocket. Can I have your jacket, please?
Well, England will be hoping it doesn't go that way, but I'm sure Sophie Devine will feel very smug if it does.
Well, she's still got a say in it, Sophie Devine, because she's still out in the middle. She's only made 4 runs, but she's at the non-striker's end. Brunt bowling to Bates, whips it nicely, bottom-handed, out through backward square leg for 4. Well, that's the kind of shot she was playing against South Africa in the first group game. That sort of, I'm sure she's played hockey in her time, Susie Bates, and you can see that in the style of the shot, that whip shot away through backward square leg. It did start on leg stump, which made it a lot easier, but 24 for none. They're ticking along.
Poor delivery from Catherine Brunt as well, angling down the leg side. And as you say, Bates just able to just flick it round the corner, help it along its way.
Brunt runs up to Bates, who runs at her and smashes a pull shot out to deep mid-wicket. Bouchier makes good ground, fumbles on the rope, nearly lets it through for 4, but she gets back to recover and they only get 2. So
Catherine's off again. Catherine is off again.
Is she? Well, I mean, could have been worse, Catherine. You thought it was going to be 1, then you thought it was going to be 4. It ended up being 2. That's a sensible compromise.
I'll tell you why she's misfielded that, because she's so scared of Catherine Brunt shouting at her for misfielding that she's tentative picking the ball up. And it then brings on more misfields. And lo and behold, Catherine Brunt shouted at her. Maya Bouchier is one of the best fielders in the deep in the country.
Yeah.
She's made a mistake. It happens.
Yeah, it is a curious kind of response that you can understand frustration, but it has an effect on other people. It doesn't happen in a vacuum.
It'll probably be a bad ball here.
26 for none. Brunt comes up and bowls a wild bouncer down the leg side, and it's going for wides. Sarah Glenn will save her the indignity of 5 wides, but it'll be 3 wides because they'll come back for 2 runs added to the extra for sending it short and wildly down the leg side. And that was some very prescient commentary, Alex Hartley at 29 for none.
You just know, don't you? You just get so rattled in your own thoughts and your teammates' mistakes. Concentrate on what you do best. Concentrate on yourself. Get a wicket for your team. Don't shout at your teammates.
Catherine Brunt runs in, bowls to Bates, a slower ball dragged across the line, half stopped at short mid-wicket by Nat Siver, who gets a hand to it and doesn't get shouted at. They get through for a single, 30 without loss.
Well, the back of the hand slower ball there from Catherine Brunt. Bates sweeps on line. There's a good stop from Nat Siver at mid-wicket.
Well, Brunt, before the previous ball, had her hands on her head, sort of trying to calm herself down perhaps. Runs in and bowls down the leg side off the pad. It's called a wide. It's not off the pad, it's off the keeper. So 31 for none. If you can get cross with your teammates for a skill error and not picking up the ball, then they could shout at you for bowling wides down the leg side. You're not supposed to do that either.
Nope, there's been 2 of them so far, and 2 runs taken off the first, so 4 wides in the over. England 9 wides already.
And New Zealand going at 10 and over. Could be on for an early mark here. Here's Brunt bowling to Devine down the leg side. It's a wide. That's the 5th one for the over. And Maya Bouchier keeping very quiet out there in the deep, but you could forgive her for being inclined to do otherwise. 32 for none.
Catherine Brunt just takes a deep breath, and I think she needs to take a couple more.
Well, Freya Kemp was trying to calm her down at mid-off before going over to have a word. The 17-year-old saying, all right, you might be 20 years older than me, but ease up. She bowls on line this time, and Sophie Devine glances down to fine leg, and Brunt does the classic fast bowler. Ooh, hands on head. Oh, I nearly got you LBW, except for the bit where the middle of the bat hit the ball, and you scored a run. 33 for none after 3 overs. They're going at 11 per over.
Yeah, 14 runs coming off that Catherine Brunt over. It all started with that misfield by Maya Bouchier out in the deep. We're going to see the youngster Izzy Wong come into the attack, 20 years old.
Well, I will say, I mean, the misfield did come after Brunt had already been hit for a boundary, you know. So
it did, sorry.
So she'd already bowled the leg stump half volley. She'd already made the mistake herself. Got clipped for 4, and then the 2 came up. And then the wides started getting going. So it'll be Izzy Wong to have a bowl. Loved watching her go about her work during this Commonwealth Games. Home crowd, Midlands local, all the rest.
What we can guarantee with Izzy Wong, a good celebration if she gets a breakthrough here.
Here we go. She steams up and bowls in at middle and leg stump, and Sophie Devine's defending back down the pitch. Mid-off quickly across the field. It's just this vibrancy about Izzy Wong, you know, the shaved head, the dyed hair, the pace in at the wicket, the earring flying.
The smile on her face as well. I think that's a big tell.
Yep.
And Georgia Elwes has resorted to putting her Team England bucket hat on. Trying to change a bit of look.
Wong bowls in at Sophie Devine, and it cuts her in half. That was a sawmill of a delivery. Devine jumping, trying to jab it away to the leg side. It goes past her solar plexus just about.
Her what?
It's your diaphragm.
Midriff.
No, not midriff. Midriff. There's no T on the end.
Is there not?
Yeah. It's a classic cricket one. They always say midriff. It's not a drift. It's a drift.
Anyway.
Double F.
I don't know what word you said, but I still don't get it.
Here goes Wong, outside the off stump, crashed away on the cut. That's a good shot from Devine for 4. Well, extra pace on the ball can help if you're good enough to hit it. Sophie Devine is 37 for none, England.
Beautiful shot from Sophie Devine. It's full outside the off stump. Just capitalises on that boundary opportunity and keeps that run rate ticking along for New Zealand here.
Izzy Wong runs up to Devine, who smacks it down the ground. Could be 4. There's a chase on. Won't get there. Sarah Glenn doing her best. But can't reel it in. Another boundary. Sophie Devine up to 13. She's been the quieter partner until now, but she's getting going. 41 for none.
Yeah, mid-on and mid-off. Up inside the 25-yard fielding circle. Izzy Wong just a touch too full. And Devine taking full opportunity with that. And we're going to see third come to a short third and fine leg go out. So maybe a shorter ball here from Izzy Wong.
Runs up, does bang it in short, but down the leg side, it's pulled away off the glove for a single. The wicket keeper will have to go and tidy up. 42 for none, New Zealand. Well, they're doing what India and England did yesterday. India were none for 40 after 4 overs. England were 1 for 42. They're both going at 10 and over through the early stages. New Zealand doing it today, chasing a small target. I mean, this is absolutely crucial.
Well, these are where these games are won and lost, in the power play.
Wong runs up to Susie Bates, bowls short, pulls it, and pulls it well for 4. In between the outfielders, they had the 2 out for the hook. Bouchier just runs around to retrieve it from the rope. She was at deep square leg. Freya Kemp was at fine leg. Goes in between them. After 4 overs, New Zealand 46 for none. They are absolutely flying. That's another 13 from that over.
Yeah, they are. Izzy Wong there conceding 3 boundaries. 4-4, a leg bite, and then another 4. And that's what you get with the pace bowler, the youngster. She didn't quite get things right. 1 outside the off stump, 1 down the leg side, and 1 just a fraction too full and straight. And Captain Nat Siver's going to have to turn to herself here to try and get this breakthrough. Because they know once they get 1 or 2 wickets, they are in with a shout of winning this game. But New Zealand, no. They don't have a big target to chase.
Still in the power play, and Nat Siver has brought herself on. Runs into bowl, mediums to Sophie Devine, who hits her for 6. Welcome to the bowling crease, the England captain. See you later. Out over deep square leg. Bounces into the crowd, bounces over the hovercraft down there. And the ball is lobbed back to Maya Bouchier. Well, New Zealand are absolutely on the tear. The 50's up after 25 deliveries. They're 52 for none.
Tell you what, that wasn't a bad delivery from Nat Siver. Yes, it was back of a length, but Devine, she's taken her on. She knows she's capable of hitting boundaries.
Siver from the city end, bowls short. Devine tries to pull. Gets a little glove, or did she get a nick on that, or was that off Amy Jones's gloves? Couldn't quite tell. So it's a wide signal. There was nothing on it from the batter, and it did come off the wicket keeper down the leg side. Another extra, yet another wide. 54 for none, because they got to run through as well.
Well, that delivery that Devine hit for 6 was a slower ball from Nat Siver as well. So she's created the pace.
Devine down the non-striker's end. Susie Bates driving Siver down to mid-off, no run. What a statement, though. Captain to captain. Siver brings herself on. A bit of control, you know, some mediums. Go for 4 or 5 off the over. Get things back on track. No.
I'm going to hit you for 6
off
first
you
up.
shoot.
Pressure's on you now, Siver.
Oh, Natalie Siver tries to respond. Down the leg side. Swept, caught, a short fine leg. There's the response from Nat Siver. Susie Bates picks out the fielder, Sarah Glenn, on the edge of the circle. Reverse cup, hands above her head. That ball was travelling. It was flat. It was fast. It was out of the middle of the bat, but she has just picked out the fielder. Bad luck for Susie Bates. England into the game. It's 54 for 1.
That was a poor delivery from Nat Siver. Susie Bates really unlucky with that, middling the ball straight to Sarah Glenn, who doesn't actually know much about it. Sticks her hands up and it sticks in the middle of her hands. And Sarah Glenn now in the England team huddle, just wringing her hands out, hands on her knees, going, oh, that one hurt, that one hurt. Susie Bates, fine innings comes to an end. She's only faced 10 deliveries but got 20 runs. You fear that ball also deserved to go for 4. She could have hit it anywhere. She gets high fives from her teammates because they know that this opening partnership has done enough damage here for New Zealand.
Well, that's cricket sometimes. It's a roll of the dice, and sometimes it lands your way. That's the case for Siver on this occasion. Now she's sending Sarah Glenn all the way back to the fine leg fence because Georgia Plimmer has come out to the middle. Now she only made 17, I think it was, yesterday, but looks likely. Played A really nice off drive, nice late cut, a couple of proper cricket shots, took on the bowling. She's waiting for Siva now and opening the face and guiding the ball to backward point with Danny Wyatt. Her set-up shot. No run.
Well, she makes 17 today. That's the game almost done and dusted.
That's the thing. This opening partnership of 54 within 5 overs. It's been partly down to donations from England. They've been profligate with the ball. Plymouth tries to score to the leg side, can't get past Bouchier at mid-wicket, who hops up and shapes to throw, does the big shadow puppet stance. She looked like a hieroglyphic at that point. One arm pointing forward, one up above her head. Find her on the wall of a temple along the Nile Delta. Here's Siva. Opening the face, gliding straight to slip. So they've got Eccleston at a first slip, and Plymouth tried to run it past her on the bounce to slip. The 5th over comes to an end. Nothing much happening. It's only 54 for 1. Jonathan Agnew about to join Alex Hartley.
Well, it couldn't have been a better start for New Zealand. We talk about how important this power play was for them, and this game could have been won or lost in the power play. Well, you fear with England only getting 110 on the board, 111 to win for New Zealand, the damage has been done here. And Sophie Devine, more importantly, is still at the crease.
I love the way they've played. From one hand, talking in the interval, weren't we, about what England have to do, the importance of those 5-6 overs. But Susie Bates in particular, I think, just came out and she just took the game by the scruff of the neck, didn't she? You can have Brunt, you can have Eccleston, but
I'm still going to hit you.
We're going to win this game, and I thought that was experience, obviously quality.
I think it shows as well when she did get out and went over to the dugout. She got high fives from everyone there. You know, yes, she got out in an unlucky manner, but she's done a lot of damage here.
Broken the back of it, really. 54 for 1 is the score. We've only had 5 overs. Still in the power play. The target's 111. And Kemp is coming on to bowl her left arm seam from over the wicket. The first ball's thrashed past her and for 4. Dive there from Brunt from mid-on, couldn't stop it.
Misfield from Brunt, is she going to get angry at herself?
I don't think anyone's daring say anything. But, well, excellent shot again from Devine, opening her shoulders. First ball. A youngster looking ready to get the ball up there in the right sort of a place to start with. And so Devine had a pretty good idea where it was going to be. And Kemp again then. Moves in left arm over, bowls, keeper standing up. In fact, keeper takes that from outside the off stump. A bit of width there, and Devine unusually missed out there because I think a bit of bat on that, and that would have been another boundary.
I think New Zealand, what they've done so well is actually put pressure on the England bowlers in the first 2 or 3 balls of the over. They've got a boundary early on, and with only a small target to chase, that puts the bowler on the back foot straight away.
58 for 1, the target 111. Kemp again, ponytail swinging around, bowls outside the off stump, guided away down to short third, going with the single up at this end, so he misses the stumps. And Catherine still gesticulating there about something or other. I mean, the field had to throw it somewhere.
She said the stumps are there. Because it was a poor throw.
It wasn't a great throw, but I just think she had to sort of felt she had to throw it somewhere. The batters are running around. There's no one at the stumps. That's part of the problem. Kemp hadn't got time to get back there. One thing is, can't you just go and put her in a box somewhere?
Just quieten her down.
Yeah. 59 for 1. There goes Kemp, left arm over. There's a slip now, and it's heaved away past Brunt again. In the air for 4. Pitched up, driven. And Plymouth getting in on the act now. It's her first scoring stroke. Nicely played. No nonsense stuff. Back in the day, you used to have those traps used to open up behind the umpires where you used to put helmets and stuff like that. It'd be quite useful, couldn't it? You could sort of a Brunt box, so you could sort of open it up, put her in there between spells, close the lid.
You know when tigers, they get tranquilised just to calm them down a little bit.
Kemp again, bowls short, and a defensive stroke from Plymouth this time. Bit of bounce from the tall Kemp. 63 for 1. New Zealand are romping this at the moment.
It's a great word.
Romping.
Yes.
Well, you might be able to speak from experience, Alex, but they are at the moment. 63 for 1 with a ball to go in the 6th over. There goes Kemp, bowls, and it's edged and taken and slip. Feeling outside the off stump. Nice catch taken. And New Zealand at least do lose their second wicket now. Is it too late? Is it too late? There's some high fives out there. Not I'd say half-hearted, a bit more than half-hearted, but you know what I mean. That was a nice little slip catch, actually, looking at the replay there, because it barely carried down to the right side, wasn't it, Natsy? It was just taken low down by a boot. Good catch.
Yeah, good catch. Poor shot, actually, from Plymouth. It's a feeling outside the off-stump, a shot that you might play if there is no slip in place. But England on the attack, they know they've got to get wickets. They've got to slow the flow of runs somehow. So Natsiva, the captain at slip, just takes a regulation slip catch, but a good one as well.
It's low, wasn't it? It was.
I think she'd have been disappointed if she'd have dropped it.
Yeah. 63 for 2 then. So a member of the New Zealand coaching staff there applying her sun cream. It's that sort of a day. And always a huge bunch of bananas on their bench. Have you noticed that?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah, always there. I'm assuming they're fresh bananas every day, but she's always got this great big bunch sitting there.
Had it have been chocolate bars, I'd have noticed.
Well,
but I'm not a massive fruit and veg eater.
I think they'd have melted today between chocolate bars. 63 for 2. They're going at, 10.5 and over. Come on, England, they shout. Got Sarah Glenn coming on to bowl her wrist spin. Now that the power play is over, she's coming on from the City end. So how many can they put out? Well, they have put 4 out. This feels like they'll somehow get some pressure on, but just cracked away off the back foot. Devine scores her 25th run. Now, for Amelia Kerr, do you just try and put a bit of pressure on here? Do you just bring an extra fielder in?
I definitely think it's worth it.
I think they have to, really.
I'd bring mid on up,
there
to be
go.
completely honest.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do. I think you just have to. Try and put some pressure on, but just not make it too easy just to knock a single and bring Devine back. It's Kerr's first ball then. Glenn bowls to it, short, pulled out to deep mid wicket, so easy there for Kerr to pull that for a single. 65 for 2, 46 more needed from 82 balls. That, I'm afraid, is the scenario here if you're an England supporter. Glenn again, bowls, it's too short once more, and Devine can pull that into the leg side. I love that story about the medal pocket. There is something faintly ridiculous about it, isn't it?
Having a medal pocket, there is.
There is some arrogance about that, I'm afraid.
But that's on all Team England.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It just seems a very strange thing to have done. Glenn bowls, that's steered off the back foot. I mean, all it's ever going to do is backfire.
And also, if you win a Commonwealth medal, you're wearing it around your neck, aren't you?
Yes, you
With
are.
pride. Not hiding it away in a
tuck
pocket.
it in your pocket, no. Glenn again, bowls again, it's a little bit too short and steered away by Kerr. There's a long chase for the fielder coming down here to the boundary. She will just cut it off. Big cheer because it's Sophie Eccleston. Kerr goes to 3.
Eccleston very slow to the ball there. Almost like she was running in treacle.
Sort of wading a bit. 68 for 2. I suppose you've got to think, if you are Sophie Devine, think of an alternative use for that pocket, haven't you? A few suggestions of what you might actually put in there.
It'll have to be Skittles at this rate or something like that.
Now here's another. Oh, she's done it again. And well, Eccleston's given that one up. He's not going to even try and chase that. A little more on the ball. A late dab. I'm afraid that over was largely too short. 9 runs from it. 72 for 2. Some Kiwis waving their flag happily there in the crowd. 72 for 2 after 7 overs. Chasing just 111 to win. And, Georgia, what do you do?
What do you do? It's more than they made in their last game against England, and they've only batted for 7 overs.
Yep.
It's one of those really difficult stages of a game for the fielding side. You know, the game's pretty much gone, and barring a miracle, there's not much you can do to pull it back. The way the New Zealand batters have come out today and played, chasing a low total, which can sometimes be difficult. Sophie Devine's really set the tone.
Eccleston's back, bowling from this end. Bowls on the leg stump. The first ball's turned away by Sophie Devine, New Zealand's captain, turns it away into the leg side. 73 for 2, 38 more needed. There's still 77 balls to go with 8 wickets in hand. And now a conversation with Siva, the captain, and Eggleston, the bowler. They're sending out the deep point. Mahbusha going out there on the offside. Danny Wyatt is at deep mid-wicket. Otherwise, everyone's in a circle. I just think that's what they just have to do now. Try and force some sort of pressure. So Eccleston bowls down the leg side, though. Not a good ball. It's swept away. Single taken. There's a direct hit, though. At least coming up from a short, fine leg. But I just think that's all they have. That's all they can do, really, isn't it? Just have the field as tight as they can in the circle. Try and induce a full stroke. But 37 from 76. And you can block a couple of maidens if you wanted to. Still not be under any pressure. Umpires repaired the bails. 74 for 2. We're in the 8th over. Never field changing. Siva's now coming into the leg side. So 3 in the offside circle as that swung hard to Dunkley out there, deep square leg. 75 for 2, 36 more needed. Crowd's gone a bit quiet.
I'd like to see a catcher in. I'd like to see a slip in. The only way
Yeah.
England are going to win is if they take wickets, isn't it?
Yep.
Really see how they're getting a wicket here. They're not going to get any by building pressure. There's no pressure out there at all.
No, I think you're right. I think that's all he can do is Eccleston again bowling. That's flicked hard straight to mid-wicket though. 75 for 2. 36 needed. 74 balls remain. This for the bronze medal. As Eccleston bowls, that's swept, just beating the fielder on the edge of the circles, bouncing away towards the boundary and makes it. Bit of a top edge, but again, not the best ball that Sophie Eccleston's bowled in her life, I don't think. It's drifting down that leg side. A little bit of a top edge from the sweep shot, but with the field up, certainly enough on the bat. The ball goes for 4. 79 for 2. The target's 111. A rather dejected sight there, Sophie Eccleston. I mean, she's not going to look very animated anyway. She just sort of moves quite slowly, but and she goes again, parts her hands and tosses that one up. It's driven out to cover. No run, end of the over, end of the 8th, and New Zealand 79 for 2, and all those plans that we had in the interval, try and create the pressure, the start, hasn't quite worked really, has it?
It hasn't. Sophie Eccleston, easily England's most reliable bowler. She's not got it right today. The line's been far too leg side, and that's allowed the batters to sweep and not really been able to put them under any sort of pressure. And again, Catherine Brunt, who England looked to set the tone and take the wickets, she's gone 2 overs for 15. So
she's coming back as well.
Yeah, it's really not the start that England would have wanted at all.
But the fact is that total is not enough. You know, it's always the bowlers who have to try and salvage a situation, isn't it? I mean, that score is not nearly enough, and so you're always chasing the game from that point on. 79 for 2. Possibly a last throw of the dice here as far as Nat Siva's concerned. She's turned to Brunt. Try and get a wicket. In she comes now and bowls outside the off stump, and almost does actually. It was drilled off the back foot to mid wicket. A dive out there in the deep fails, and the first ball goes for 4. It was a long hop outside the off stump, but very nearly was dragged there as a catch to mid wicket. It wasn't too far away, just a yard or so to the left, but it was hit out in the middle of the bat. 83 for 2. Not quite the start they'll have wanted either to this spell. Keepers up at the stumps. There's 4 in the offside circle, 1 in the leg. That's Siva with her hands on her hips there, wondering what she can do. In comes Brunt, past the umpire. She's there now and she bowls. Oh, that's drilled into her foot, I think. Hit very hard back at her. Well, she's not Doesn't show any pain, but that was it. Rifling straight into her right boot. Lots of stats coming on. I think already had the most number of clean bowls by England in a T20 match. In comes Brunt, bowls. Oh, wayward ball down the leg side. Actually, if Devine had left that, it would have been a wide for sure. But she's got a bit of bat to it. Picks up 2 runs. And so Hypercourse, is he one of your regular correspondents, Alex? England women's 2 costless power plays as a bowling team in their T20 history have been yesterday and today. There we are. Thank you. Today's a bit of a shambles. 85 for 2 in the 9th. In comes Brunt again. Keeper crouching, bowls a wrist spinner, which is hit away into the leg side. It'll be fielded by Bouchier, throwing it back in again now, but just a bit of experiment there, really, from Brunt to try something. 25 needed. There's 68 balls left. New Zealand 86 for 2. And we've got one hand around that bronze medal, I think. Now, Catherine Brunt's having a conversation with the umpire down there. I think it was anything sinister. But she's at the start of her run now. 86 for 2. We're in the 9th over. Up she comes again, and she's there, and she bowls outside the off stump. Nice little run down to 3rd from Kerr, who goes to 13. Leaning back and using the pace of the ball. Wong throws it back. 87 for 2, 24 needed. 67 balls to go. And there was that talk about picking yourself up again after the disappointment of yesterday, but then that's been the same for both teams, let's be honest. So, while yes, it probably is quite a difficult thing to do, and we've got the disappointment of that defeat, but New Zealand felt it too. Brunt again in the sunshine, bowls short, wide of the off stump. There's no stroke from Devine. She lets it go into Amy Jones's gloves. The end of the over, 87 for 2, 9 overs completed, so there's 66 balls to go, with New Zealand needing just 24 more runs to win the game. And the crowd has gone quiet. I think they've had a change of announcer. They've had a fella doing it who's been trying his best for the last half hour or so. I think he's gone for a rest, and there's a female voice now trying to G everybody up. It's not going very well, though.
There's not much to shout about, is there, for the England fans?
There's not. I'm afraid she's met with silence there. 87 for 2. And you've got Kemp coming back here by the look of it. More conversations about the field placings and so on. 87 for 2. 24 more needed. Right, so she's back. It's only 17. There's a long conversation there between Siva, Brunt, and actually the youngster that she wouldn't talk to yesterday. So not that conversation's going. I'm sure it's all been forgotten about now and put into the past. But it goes without saying, England needs some sort of miracle here. 87 for 2, 24 more needed. There's still 11 overs left. Freya Kemp, left arm over the wicket, bowls outside the off stump. Nice little dab down there for a single. 88 for 2, 23 more needed. And that famous old saying, they could just do it in singles. I suspect Devine won't want to do it in singles. She's played some good shots, good power hitting here today. I think Susie Bates needs a lot of credit, though, for the way that innings started. No nonsense, wasn't it? She was not going to have any sort of terms dictated to her at all. She just got them away to a terrific start. 88 for 2. He goes Kemp again, bowls a slow full toss, which is dragged to mid-wicket. Lucky there. Devine, she's picked out the only fielder. There's Siva there inside the circle. 88 for 2, still 23 more needed. Kemp walks thoughtfully back to her mark again. She runs more or less on the edge of the circle. A smooth, easy run, high action, and that's been flogged away for 4. Just short of a length. And Devine's not going to mess around here. Let's get the job done. She's pulled that powerfully over mid-wicket and into the boundary. Difficult for a 17 years old. Come on in this situation, but there you go. I mean, a number of England's youngsters will learn some lessons from what's happened in this tournament, I'm sure. Here's Cam again, bowls. So it's another slow full toss. It's smeared out towards deep mid-wicket. They'll want two. They're going to come back for the second. The throw's on the way. And they make it. They make their ground. Runs coming easily. 17 more needed.
Yeah, just nothing going right for England at the moment, is it? It's at that stage of the innings where they know the game's gone. They're trying everything they can to just restore some pride in this performance, but with the field set the way it is and Sophie Devine batting as aggressively as she is, she looks in good touch, doesn't she? And she's not hanging about anything remotely short. She's so quickly onto, and with the field set as it is, trying to stop the singles in the ring, it leaves the gaps on the boundary and Sophie Devine can pick her spot.
Kemp again bowls to her, and she actually misses that one, and so does Amy Jones. Ball bounces away into the leg side. Yorker outside the off stump, and a rare play and a miss. 94 for 2. Question is, what are we going to do for about 4 hours and 45 minutes until the next match?
Yeah, we're going to have to
find some entertainment.
I'm sure there'll be lots of people in town looking forward to the game this evening.
Camp again, runs in, bowls, and again very late, just dab down towards that short third, and they take an easy single. 95 for 2. 16 more needed from 60 balls. And who's Nat Siver going to turn to now, just to try and find this miracle? I think we're even beyond miracle stages now, aren't we? I fear. Sarah Glenn, I think, is going to bowl her wrist spin. 95 for 2. So halfway through the innings, and New Zealand have almost completed it. Is that Prince Edward sitting there? I think it is. I've not seen him at a cricket match before. Is that Prince Edward? It might be. In comes Glenn, bowling short and pulled away to deep square leg for a single. 96 for 2. He's a bit in the shade, so if I'm wrong, then I'm willing to say it's wrong. He had an official looking thing round his neck. There's also a shade of Tony Blair about it, but I think it was Prince Edward. 96 for 2. 15 more needed from 59 balls. Amelia Kerr looks around, and again they've kept one extra fielder in as Glenn bowls, and there you go, over long on, therefore it goes, and that was where the fielder would have been, and she's picked the spot perfectly there. I like the look of Amelia Kerr. She's a good player, and that was nice thinking. They brought the fielder in to try and put some pressure. She said, "Yep, okay. Well, I'll just dink it over the top then."
It's hard, isn't it, for Glenn to know what to do in this situation. Well, you gamble bringing the field up to try and get yourself a wicket, but you leave such big gaps exposed in the outfield.
This is a hammering. 100 for 2 in the 11th over. 11 needed from 58 balls. And Glenn comes over the wicket, and she started to come down and then changed her mind, dabbed the ball away into the offside. It's another single though. 10 needed in just the 11th over. Very disappointing. 101 for 2. Glenn moves in again, turns her arm over, bowls short, dragged into the deep mid-wicket area for a single by Sophie Devine, New Zealand's captain, who came out at the start, and she's been there, and she wants to be there all the way through, I'm sure. Heather Knight, I see, looking on, helpless. 9 more needed. The last shout of encouragement from Some in the crowd. Glenn comes in, bowls outside the off stump. It's short. Get one there. I think it's all they're going to have. Yeah, Devine thought about the second. She turned blind there. So the throw comes bouncing in. 103 for 2. The ball to go in the 11th over. Eight more needed. As Glenn again bowls outside the off stump, chopped away for the single that'll keep Devine the strike. With 7 more needed from a full 9 overs for New Zealand to win the game. There's a notebook of all our colleagues, Georgia. I reckon that the person I'd least expect to keep copious notes about anything, frankly, would be Alex Hartley, and she's got a book there with all sorts of. I mean, there's every note, every statistic. There's light green writing, there's black writing. I mean, that is quite an orderly looking book, isn't it? For someone who, you have to be honest, in the brief experience of knowing Alex, I mean, I'm surprised by that.
Showing it off now.
Yeah,
she's
she is.
Giving a flick through the pages.
Very pleased with it. But that's quite a work of art.
Colour coded, different coloured pens she brings with her. Gets a pencil case out.
Very surprising. 7 to win, 104 for 2. Izzy Wong's back. With a lot to do, I'm afraid. There's New Zealand only 2 wickets down, needing 7 to win from 9 overs. And Sophie Devine's on strike. As Wong, with those rocking shoulders, runs away from us, bowls short, has paddled away into the leg side. Hasn't quite got much of the bat on that, but just enough to pick up a single. And so now it's down to 1 blow. A 6 would do it. Don't think Amelia Kerr will do that, but we have something fitting if New Zealand's captain can finish it off with a boundary. She's played very well. Kerr on 20. Still 4 fielders out. Waiting, I don't know, for a top edge or something anyway. As Wong again, this long straight run over the wicket, bowls short, and goes for the pull shot there and misses it completely. There's appeal for the crowd, but no contact made with the bat. And now this is changing of field, bringing up a third and fine leg and dispatching deep mid wicket and long on. All sorts going on here because there's now no short fine leg either. We're going bouncers here, hoping for a catch out in the deep. I don't know. This is unusual field with no fine leg at all. Wong runs in, bowls, slower ball, driven down the ground, and so they pick up 1. 5 to win. The New Zealand's captain on strike. 106 for 2. Walks briskly back to a mark, tossing herself a catch from left hand to right. Starts absolutely straight, almost behind the umpire, and has to come out a little at the last moment. She's there now and bowls a slower ball, dragged away for 4, pummeled into the leg side, and that means that New Zealand's captain has a great chance here of finishing it off. It's only 1 to win. She's reached her 50 with that, and she's guided her team home here very, very easily indeed. And all Nat Siver can do is bring the fielders inside the circle. This has been, I'm afraid, a chastening defeat.
Yeah, how fitting now for Sophie Devine. Just reached her 50, captain of New Zealand. Can she be the one, hit the winning runs, get that bronze medal for Team New Zealand cricket? And so it would mean so much. You'd seen all her interviews before the game started about how excited she was to be involved in something bigger than cricket.
Well, the field very tight now, apart from Catherine Brunt, who's lurking 7 or 8 yards outside the circle. New Zealand need 1 to win the bronze medal, and Devine has had a huge carve at this. She's skied it. Oh, she's been dropped. it would have made no difference. Sivers dropped the catch, and that rather sums up the day, I'm afraid. A drop catch, the single for Sophie Devine, is getting a big hug there from Amelia Kerr, her partner. The captain has well and truly seen her team home here to win by 8 wickets with more than 8 overs to spare. And that is a very chastening defeat indeed for England, I'm afraid. And there's some congratulations, of course, going on there to New Zealand's popular captain, slapped on the back. Well, that wasn't a great watch, I wouldn't think, from someone who's been involved in English cricket as you have, Georgia.
No, England looked like a team who'd lost the gold medal yesterday. This morning when they turned up at the ground, and New Zealand looked like a team who felt like they had something amazing to gain by getting a bronze medal, and that's how it played out, isn't it? England looked deflated, looked flat and tired when they came out to play. They just hadn't quite got over that semi-final defeat yesterday, whereas New Zealand, who actually played the later game yesterday, rocked around, turned out this morning and really feel like they've won something there. They've come away from this Commonwealth Games with a bronze medal, which for them is a fantastic achievement. You can see it on their faces, you can see how much it means to them. They're all congratulating the captain there. She leads from the front, she epitomises what New Zealand sport's about, and they'll be over the moon with taking home that bronze medal.
Yeah, the tale of two teams, and with only about 10 yards between them, if that. Actually, to the left, New Zealand celebrating, hugging, congratulating each other, and England dejected, and now going through the formalities, of course, of shaking their opponents by the hand. But there's a bit of soul searching to do after this, I think. I mean, they have lost their captain, of course, so Nat Siver was thrust into that role. I think those of us who watched here yesterday will think that there were some errors made yesterday, but England will feel, I think their supporters will feel, that they should have been in the match that follows at 5 o'clock on form and reputation and so on. But in fact, they're dragging themselves off the ground with nothing. That's very disappointing. I just wonder, Alex is back as well now with her book. We've talked a lot about the advances that women's cricket has made over the last year, with 100, which has obviously been a great success and so on, but does that take a bit of a dent with seeing that down there now, or not? You just put this away as a separate thing, and actually, there are thousands of people watching. There were yesterday. It shouldn't have a negative impact, should it?
No, I think overall this tournament goes down as a win for women's cricket, because we've had thousands and thousands of people coming to watch every single game. We've basically filled Edgbaston most days of this tournament, and we haven't done that, or the England girls haven't done that at the smaller grounds around the country. This summer, last summer, we've not sold out a ground since 2017 at Lords, where 28,000 people came to watch. So yes, the England girls will be bitterly disappointed that they've not come away with a medal in the first ever time T20 cricket has been at the Commonwealth Games. But when they reflect back on this in a week, a year, they'll say, you know what, how amazing was that, and let's look forward to the next Commonwealth Games.
But what about lessons, or what about immediate lessons? Because there's still plenty of cricket left this summer for them to play. What can you think what do they take from this? What do they take into their series with India?
I think it's about soaking up pressure. When with the bat in hand, soaking up pressure. After 10 overs today, England were 57 for 5. They lost consistent wickets throughout the innings. Can they soak up that pressure? Can they not allow teams to bowl at them? They haven't played any competitive cricket until the semi-final and today this summer. And I think when push came to the shove, it showed that. It's been disappointing, but I think they're going to have to regroup. They've got a series against India the back end of the summer, but India will look back on this and go, this England team are beatable. We've beat them. We know where we can beat them. We've just got to take regular wickets. We've got to put pressure on the older players. The newer players are coming in and they're playing with freedom, but they might not pay off.
Do you look back at things like Tammy Beaumont, when would that have made a difference if she'd been playing? It's quite a controversial decision.
It was, and we'll never know. It's great to look back with hindsight, isn't it? But I think there are some real positives that have come out of this tournament. I think Alice Capsey has stood up in a role that is unfamiliar to her. She's come out and she's played brilliantly in that number 3 role, being asked to be aggressive, but also we saw in the game against Sri Lanka she played really maturely. I think Freya Kemp has played a good role as well, and then you mix that with the experience. I think they've missed Heather Knight more than anyone this tournament. I think if she had been playing yesterday, we may have seen a different approach, and especially today, she's someone with a cool, calm head, and England definitely will miss her in the middle order. Any England side would. And then I think there's somebody sitting on the sidelines at home in Charlie Dean who could have really added an impact into this side with her bowling, and I think she was very unlucky to miss out on this side. But all in all, like Alex said, I think the crowds and the exposure that these girls have got throughout this tournament won't go unnoticed, and hopefully these crowds can get behind the girls again for the 100 and then in the series against India later in the summer.
What is lovely to see, 4 of the team have gone round and clapped the crowd and thanked the crowd. They'll be absolutely gutted, there'll be some tears, but 4 of them have gone round to the Hollies. They're now at the far side and they're saying thank you to each and every single person that has come out and supported them in this tournament.